Hello, and welcome back to the Boston Commune. This week's incredulous installment features commentary from comrades Scott, Joe, Chava, Ellie, myself, and friend of the pod, Will. We muddle over a multitude of current events before moving into our discussion on how to find common political ground with normies. Please do us a favor and share this content. Do yourself a favor and enjoy your Epoch.
Well, don't you listen to our show?
Yeah, but I've never seen how the sausage is made, man.
All right, I'm just.
Okay. Well, if you've heard it, then you already know, man. Like, it's just kind of we do the thing. If we have something we want to talk about, Scott usually goes, "Hey, didn't you have some fucking thing that you wanted to talk about?" Damn, I forgot. I'm so forgetful. Hold on, let me hit my bong 5 more times. Hold on.
That sounds about right.
With no music, no tunes, no lead-ins, no bells and whistles. That's all. Listen,
That's my job in post. That's why all the fans love me. That's why I get all the bitches. Like,
fan mail comes pouring in your way. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, man.
Carry on. All right, I'll check it out as we go.
It's a fluid process.
I'm actually laughing very hard. I was gonna try to do a bit, but
I guess we'll start over again.
Carlene's upset with me.
That was genuinely hilarious boasting. So, Joe?
Yes?
Off.
Alrighty. So I found this kind of interesting. I was talking to my mom and a couple other people yesterday about question 1, and they were kind of confused about it. I think my mom kind of bought into the whole, like, fear-mongering about, personal data. And I pointed out, no, it's almost entirely bankrolled by the car companies who want to lock out, independent mechanics from being able to get access to diagnostic data or mechanical data on the cars. And the No on One campaign has received contributions from 16 major car manufacturers. No on One, this is, ranging from Volvo, which gave $10,710 to the No on One campaign, to General Motors, which has so far dumped $5,467,624 into No on One. The next 4 largest contributors to No on One are Toyota at $4.5 million, Ford at $4.45 million, Honda at $2.96 million, and Nissan at $2.4 million.
Yeah, so it can't be important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just a little law.
But sure, independent mechanics say it's really about them. Sure.
I will say that I did receive a little leaflet about No on One, and it was from an independent mechanic, which I thought was very. But I thought was very. Basically, it was the same argument of protect your data, And I was like, yeah, but but if it was a yes, it would help you, but whatever. I don't know. It was a very, it was like reading the pamphlet. I was just like, so you're going to shoot yourself in the foot over question 1. Okay. And anyways, if you haven't gotten it, we're yes on one over here on the pod.
I got an even worse mailer that just said 1 is unnecessary. Why the fuck would you put it on? How would it end up on the ballot if it was it wasn't like someone just came up with that shit as an afterthought.
Necessary thing that we spent $25.5 million on.
Come on, man.
I get a buddy's mechanic who got his pamphlet of propaganda for his Yes on One. He works for a big chain. And we had a good discussion about it. They basically sold it as they are definitely going to steal your data and they're definitely going to blow your car up while you're driving down the street. And did you notice that the police chief liked it because the cops like it too? Which I kind of have to respond. I've never seen big capital go against police. Why would they?
Yeah. But actually, if that's true, if they're going to start blowing up cars, then that makes the world a whole lot more exciting. So
you really haven't? You've never seen that video of Jeff Bezos saying "ACAB, fuck the police," and then he fucking puts on a balaclava?
It's a rarely seen video. He filmed it right after he ate that iguana.
He ate an iguana?
Dude, have you not seen that?
Where was I for this?
You haven't seen those pictures? He
no,
fucking grilled and ate an iguana. In the pictures of him eating it, he looks like a fucking lizard himself. It's fucking creepy. I will try to find this monstrosity. Carry on with stories, though, Joe.
Speaking of incompetence, Joe Kennedy III, he violated federal campaign finance law quite a bit, and yet he still got his ass kicked by 11 points anyway, which is chef's kiss, really, because, he's an incompetent moron, and yet he still can't win. Like, if you're gonna cheat, you should at least be able to get results from that.
Look at that picture, Joe. Look at that fucking picture.
Fuck.
I didn't know. I'm surprised you guys didn't know. Okay. I guess I am the most online here.
You might be the most online, but I spend a lot of time on Facebook, so I see the worst of it. I'm on the front lines. Braver than our troops.
Fuck yeah. Podcasters are historically braver than the troops. This has been scientifically proven. Do not email us on this point.
It is just true. Accept it as fact. Don't question it.
We have to share our opinions every time. It's harder than anything a soldier ever did. I have family in the military, and I apologize.
A number of friends who are in the armed services, and as usual, guys, I refuse to apologize for my positions.
Oh, fuck. Also, I found out, this past week that the founder of Grunt Style never actually did any combat.
What is Grunt Style?
It's like a
clothing company or something?
Yeah, but it's like meathead, nationalist. Just look it up.
Kennedy, he spent $1.5 million.
Talking about that motherfucker.
Well, yeah, it was kind of funny. He spent $1.5 million of donations intended for the general election, which is a violation of federal campaign finance law, because candidates are only allowed to use $2,800 donations for a primary and $2,800 for a general election.
I wonder if he's going to go to jail.
And the Kennedy campaign started tapping these general election campaign funds in August for primary expenses. And the funniest fucking thing is that the Kennedy campaign did a couple of things. First, Kennedy immediately threw his campaign manager and his campaign treasurer under the bus for this. Second, he goes, "Oh, I had no idea this was happening. Nobody noticed somehow, and everybody failed to notice this much money being moved around." And then he casually opened up his wallet and reimbursed all of the funds with his own money.
He's a competent Kennedy.
But he sucked.
Yeah, do you get a competent Kennedy because they're a shitty family, kind of, they had a couple of, anyways. Jokes aren't landing tonight. My jokes are just fucking terrible. Sorry, guys.
They tore down Michael Kennedy's house a month ago.
Which one was that?
He was the one that stripped the babysitter and then skied into a tree.
That's pretty tight.
Very competent family.
Yeah, it says a lot about a family that the least terrible person still committed manslaughter.
Well, I mean, the least terrible one seemed to have just fucked the babysitter and crashed into a tree. Well, what did JFK Jr. do? Did he do any fucked up shit? Or did he just crash into a tree?
Doing fucked up shit, man. He's alive.
Yeah, he's Q. I'm sorry. Q is real.
His name is Q cast.
Yep. Slowly, we're going to become a Q pod. Jesus Christ, no.
This will come up later.
So moving on from that terrible, terrible Kennedy man, surprise motherfucker Kennedy is financially irresponsible, if you couldn't guess.
It's a nice pivot to also irresponsible Google. The DOJ took a very interesting step of, actually, I'm going to preface this by saying this is the first time the Trump administration has done something that is actually somewhat good. Not for the right reasons, but he's done something good, which is opening an antitrust lawsuit against Google. This is the first time the U.S. government has actually launched an antitrust case against a major company since Microsoft in 1998.
Oh, we have a protester.
And the DOJ filed a lawsuit this morning in the District of Columbia Federal Court accusing Google of illegally maintaining a monopoly on search and search advertising. Google currently has about 80% of online searches on search engines go through Google, and this is actually a pretty big deal because it could have implications nationally on our antitrust, but also internationally, because typically early this summer, late August, early September, the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Antitrust came out with a scathing report that I talked about on the pod already, and that report was viewed by the European Commission and European regulators as permission to start clamping down on big tech. Now, a full-blown antitrust lawsuit, I could see the European Commission seeing this as permission to just go straight for Google's jugular, so to speak, because the European regulators have already fined Google to the tune of $9 billion for anti-competitive practices. And this was before the United States decided to start getting serious about taking on big tech.
See, I think, if you want a conspiracy theory, I think that Trump and his lackeys, the most current that they have gotten with technology is Windows 95, right? So all this Google shit is just for the SJWs, right? They want to go back to the days of, you got the horrible clunky interface on the 2-foot wide monitor, and the fucking, you put a magnet up to it and it like fucks up the image and all that, and it takes like 45 minutes to boot up. You get like a floppy disk and that's all your storage. Like, back to the good old days. Because I've noticed that Microsoft has been winning out on a lot of deals lately. Some's fishy.
I wonder how this relates to TPP, because Trump has generally been anti-TPP, so...
Yeah, there's also that.
Which, interesting... No, it's fine. I won't get into it. It's just me complaining about other leftists, and I need to stop doing that. Sorry.
Or you could do it and we could just cut it out.
So, The Intercept is doing this whole week of things about Trump, and, one of the things that they counted against him was that he's anti-TPP, and it's the TPPs would, be terrible.
The Intercept?
Yeah, that was kind of bad.
Actually, we could just make this Patreon content of, just Scott complaining about other lefties.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask, what did you do with that Zoom call? Did you say, are we going to, because, I thought I said interesting things in that.
It's still just chilling on my /TMP partition. I could chop it up and make it into some Patreon content, though.
Yeah.
You have to go to Patreon?
No.
So sorry.
Yeah, way to fucking rub salt in the wounds.
I didn't even know it was a wound.
We have one patron, and it's one of our co-hosts. So.
And it's us.
Oh, shit.
No, it's not. It's not even Mom or
Mom,
you. It's $3 fucking dollars.
I was like, I don't know how that works, Mom. I don't know. Yeah.
I've put so much work into this project, but you know what?
God damn it! Then you sign up.
The payoff is an emotional one.
Well, you don't have $3 you can spare every month.
I do. I just have to sign.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me.
Some things are just labors of love, man. I get it.
Really impressive how shitty it is.
What's my favorite sound drop?
I know it is. I love it. Joe, what's the next dish? Dish of news? I don't know.
Moving on, there are two elections in 2 days over the weekend. On Saturday,
are we talking about Bolivia, baby?
Well, I was going to talk about New Zealand quickly first because it's not much to talk about, and then switch to Bolivia. Jacinda Ardern's New Zealand Labour Party won a epic landslide on Saturday, getting over 49% of the votes. They picked up 18 seats, which will they're projected to get to 64 seats in a parliament of 120, which would be enough for them to govern as a majority on their own, even though they are also considering having a confidence and supply agreement with the left-wing Green Party. A Green Party that's actually left-wing, not like the fucking German Greens, who are we don't actually care about environmental politics, we just want power. I digress.
Or the Canadian Green Party, or the American Green Party.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually, no, the American Green Party is actually okay right now. Hopkins is okay.
That's the thing about the Green parties is that the Green parties that have yet to achieve power are typically the ones who are the most left wing, as opposed to Green parties who have been in government in some form or another, have become gradually more neoliberal as they have to weigh their ideological ideals and principles and their desire and ambition for power.
They have to weigh their ideas in the marketplace of ideas.
The dial of ideas.
Yeah, so New Zealand's Labour Party seems to be going to be governing by themselves most likely.
We love it. We love it, folks.
And the thing that concerns me, though, is that, the way they campaign, it's kind of focused on, a cult of personality around Jacinda Ardern herself. It was, one of the primary appeals that Labour made was, oh, well, if you got to vote for us so you get to keep Jacinda around, the Jacinda mania is, being called. They're not really campaigning on, policy. It's oh, we have this person that's popular. Vote for this. And they haven't really done much on policy in the last 3 years that they've been in government. But on a more hopeful note, and
Chad Bolivia?
Yes.
Chad Bolivia.
Yeah, they're going to get Chad Bolivia. On Sunday, another landslide win. This was actually slightly more unexpected. The Movement Towards Socialism Party, which was previously led by Evo Morales, their candidate, Luis Acra, got 52% of the vote, according to early exit polls and preliminary results, which is a 20-point margin between Movement for Socialism and the next best party called Civic Community, which is a centrist to center-right shit-led party. They got 30%. And this is impressive because only a year ago, the United States-dominated organization Organization of American States, basically instigated a coup.
Yep.
Moss did better this time around. It's fucking fantastic.
That's the amazing thing. That's the amazing thing is that like they did better a year after the coup than they did last year.
Fucking take that.
That's so cool. Did they vote on a Sunday? That's such a damn good idea.
I mean, it's a very religious country, so.
Also, we're just
Was that
kind of
like
a shitty country.
Was that like a joke?
No.
What?
No, like Latin American countries are very religious.
Yeah, no, it is. The
South,
Global South is very religious. And it's so like on a Sunday, like, hey,
Latin
maybe.
America is very religious because of Spain's conquest of it.
But like one of the worst aspects of the recent sort of fascist insurgency after the coup was
Yeah, good point.
I just meant it's better than throwing it in like the middle of a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's like if we voted like Saturday through Sunday, it would be much more convenient.
Yeah, like the biggest constituents of the
They can't do that because of voter fraud, which will relate to the West Wing thing later, but sorry.
The biggest constituency of the MAS party, which stands for what? Movement towards socialism?
Yeah, movement towards socialism.
Their biggest constituency is like indigenous, rural, like farming communities. So I mean, I don't know exactly what their religious affiliations are, but it's definitely not like your traditional Western Christian,
I think they're more secular because like the right in Bolivia is very, very Catholic. And when they did the coup, like the right wing like president the woman who anointed her.
Yeah. She swore herself.
That
Made
you
swearing herself out of the Bible.
Yeah.
He was just like fucking anime Bible looking piece of shit. Yeah.
He looked like the goddamn Necronomicon. Yeah, I remember it.
Yes.
oof.
It's an appropriate book for fascists.
Well, they did kill what, like 36 protesters?
Yes,
When? During the election? Or
just before.
okay.
Moving back to Massachusetts, Chelsea, Mass. will be starting a UBI experiment next month.
I'm very curious how I did not hear about this, but this is fascinating.
I'll
Please.
tell you why. I'll tell you why. It's because they're only doing it for like 2,000 people.
74 families to be exact.
Oh, so it's like
So
it's like literally an experiment. Okay.
yeah, it's a pilot program kind of thing. 3,600 households applied to participate in the program, and a lottery was held to select the families who would get to participate last month. The program is set to run from November to March and has about $3 million in seed money. And so the 2,074 families that were selected will be given between $200 and $400 a month, no strings attached. And the variation in like how much money a family gets is determined by family size. And this is actually, I think, the largest UBI program in the United States, or will be when it starts, because currently the largest UBI program in the country has been was launched in February 2019 in Stockton, California, and it's a program that's been giving $500 a month to 125 families and expires at the end of January of 2021. So this is going to be 2,000 families.
Not as an experiment, but Alaska's been fucking with that for a while.
I was about to say.
Well, that's
Alaska's different.
That's different. That's not a
True.
UBI.
It's not technically. It's yeah.
That's a different thing. That's a sovereign wealth fund.
That's like, I mean,
That's like Norway.
they're conservative as fuck, but that's definitely like a state capitalist kind of a thing. Like they get dividends on oil stocks, basically.
I wouldn't
Well,
say
it doesn't,
Alaska is
like,
per
with
se
the
conservative. The politics of Alaska it's a lot more complicated than they're conservative. But
Dude, that's where Sarah Palin came from.
Oh, you can see
She's
Russia.
in the minority.
Venture to speak for an Alaskan. I have no concept of what
In the
that
minority.
is.
We'll talk about it at a different time because you have one more
How
thing
much
to
was
talk
that?
about.
How much was the Chelsea UBI again? It was only, what would you say, like $400 or something like that?
Yeah, 200
200 to
$400.
400. Yeah.
Like, that seems kind of minimal for this area, though. Like, it doesn't, I mean,
Yep.
not to say that it isn't a great program and a fantastic experiment, but it all seems like an experiment designed to fail.
Yeah, Chelsea is like one of the poorest areas
One of the
in
poorest.
the entire state.
The poorest city is actually right next door to where I live, in Lawrence.
I bet New Bedford and Fall River got to be up there too.
Yeah, Lowell's up there as well. But, like, the thing about the way it's funded is about half of it's coming from the city of Chelsea itself. And Chelsea is using $1.5 million of COVID relief money that they got from the federal government to fund it. And then the other half of the money is coming from, like, individual donors.
Wait a second, but Chelsea also has like the worst COVID statistics.
Yeah.
Yes.
So why didn't they just fucking put that money into COVID relief?
This seems like a very poorly thought out, not to dissuade the idea of UBI or anything like that. Obviously, I think it's a good experiment, a good thing to kind of show off, but I don't know. This seems like it's just destined to blow.
Yeah,
it's like the more caveats, the more details I find out about the program, the more it feels like we'll do
something that would happen in Massachusetts.
Yeah, exactly. No, we'll do a UBI thing. We'll test it out, but we're gonna put so much fucking means testing and restrictions on it that it's not gonna really it's gonna resemble a fucking mangled bastardized version of it. Which is that's the thing I keep thinking about with question 2.
It's Medicare for all and fucking defund the police.
We're gonna fuck it up. Massachusetts is going to fuck it up in some way, and that's the thing I keep thinking about with question 2. Is we're going to have, if we get ranked choice voting, what way is Massachusetts going to fuck it up, basically?
Which not to take away anything from these families that will actually have some material, substantial benefits and stuff from it. I do obviously support the idea of it. I just,
honestly, my mutual aid group probably does the equivalent of that, because we'll take requests from the same people, as soon as we get through the queue, and an average grocery order's got to be around $200.
I think though at the same time though that at the very least this can help. This is good propaganda or a good case study to argue against bad faith and disingenuous conservative talking points that if we just give the poor money, they're going to spend it on drugs or whatever.
Right.
Because there's statistics that have come back from the Stockton UBI experiment that's been going on since last February. And they ran an analysis of the spending, what the money is being used for, and 40% of the expenditures were on food, 25% of the expenditures were on utilities, only 1.8% of the expenditures were on alcohol or tobacco. So that kind of really puts a dent in that argument. Very least.
Only 1% were having fun.
That's actually pretty impressive though, because if 10% of the population is dealing with addiction, then that means
I kid.
That's basically, that means only 1 in 10 addicts indulged. Because I know if I got that money, dude, if I was still using, 100% of it would have gone to fucking drugs. So that's very impressive. Those are some principled drug addicts, I must say.
We advocate for principal drug use here on the Epoch. Go, Joe. Sorry.
The last thing I want to talk about, I want to try to start off with it's a 2-minute clip from the recent confirmation hearings on the question of the constitutionality over Medicare.
Some have argued that the Medicare program is unconstitutional. It's an unconstitutional exercise in congressional spending power. They believe that the spending power does not exist at all. In talking about Medicare and Social Security, Professor Mike Rappaport of the University of San Diego Law wrote this: "It is worth remembering that these programs would never have taken their pernicious form if the Constitution's original meaning had been followed in the first place. Do you agree with originalists who say that the Medicare program is unconstitutional? And if so, why?"
I'm not familiar with that article by Professor Rappaport, so I don't know what reasoning he advances for claiming that the spending power as exercised in things like the Medicaid provision would be unconstitutional.
Well, it's in Law and Liberty, July 23rd, 2015. But the question is, do you agree with originalists who say that the Medicare program is unconstitutional?
Well, let's see. So I think I can't answer that question in the abstract, because as we've talked about, the no hints, no forecast.
Well, let's see. Jesus.
I also don't know what the arguments would be. So I assume Professor Rappaport lays out a case, but it's not a question that I've ever considered before. But if I did consider it, it would be in the context of an actual case or controversy.
Well, I thank you. It's hard for me to believe that that's a real question because I think the Medicare program is really sacrosanct in this country. But let me ask you, last April...
Primary this bitch.
Any answer other than yes really is no. So we have a person who's about to be on the Supreme Court who thinks Medicare is somehow unconstitutional because, according to her argument or point of view, the government doesn't have the spending authority. The argument itself is irrelevant because the important thing is the implication that Medicare is unconstitutional or should be unconstitutional, that we provide health health care for old people. It's the implication that this is an endorsement of eugenics. Of the elderly, they're unproductive, therefore why the fuck do we keep them alive? And it's insane because Medicare, the idea of saying, oh yeah, we should have a Supreme Court justice who thinks Medicare should be invalidated. This is Medicare. One of the primary things that keeps the old people in this country from spending their golden years living in a cardboard box under a bridge somewhere.
Dude, it doesn't surprise me that she's just so brash about that, but it fucking infuriates me that she hasn't been chased out of Congress with fucking pitchforks.
Oh, I feel that. I honestly was violently angry when I first heard about that for at least 3 days.
She had no reason to be there at all, let alone to make the arguments that conservatives are at this point kind of hesitant to make because they don't want to alienate, dare I say, the sort of left-wing-ish conservatives. And there are some of those, especially in the South. I feel like you could get some support from I've argued this in previous episodes, but I think you could get some sort of pseudo-Stalinist energy for I'm not even going to say it. I'm probably going to cut this part out. Nonetheless, I think it's true.
Yeah. It's I know I'm the resident doomer on the pod, but
Doomer.
And I'm not surprised by very many things, but this the degree of the casual callousness of it was actually somewhat surprising.
What state is she from again?
I think she's from Indiana.
Indiana.
So what's she trying to do? Is she trying to fucking suck up to Mike Pence's constituency?
Probably.
Right, because he was the. So Joe, did you? Speaking of ACB. Did you read the headline? Did you see the article that Joe Biden doesn't have a problem with her and is fine with her being appointed to the Supreme Court? Which is
I'm surprised by that. I'm not because
the whole Supreme Court argument towards voting for Biden.
That ruins his entire argument. What the fuck is he doing?
Womp womp.
Really impressive how shitty it is.
He said during the town hall, he doesn't even know what office he's running for. He said, I'm very happy to be running as a Democrat for Senate. He doesn't even know what office he's running for.
Prepare for a pride-obliterating bitch slap.
Why are we expecting this to, him not to be, a complete traitor? That's the better question.
Oh, I fully expect that he will be a fucking train wreck.
Talking about getting Charlie Baker as staff now, I heard?
Yeah, oh my god.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
Charlie Baker's now on, he's being floated as, a possible cabinet pick.
It's cabinet watch Baker time, yeah.
Oh, he's going to be put in charge of, the Department of Housing or something like that? It's going to fucking be awful.
I didn't see what it was going to be.
Watch him do it. What the fuck? Okay, fine. What do you think Charlie Baker would be put in charge of?
Probably HHS.
What is that? in Human Services?
Health and Human Services. I mean, he was a healthcare venture capitalist before he became governor.
Yeah, I would think
fucking tastic.
Yeah. Well, does that really change your opinion of Biden? Did we think he was going to suddenly change his mind for Medicare for all or something like that?
I take your point. I take your point.
No, but I think this political article that came out this morning that's he's looking at putting Republicans in the cabinet. It completely ruins it. It completely invalidates the argument that we can push him to the left. No, if he's already this is a guy who said in February, I want a Republican running mate. He's now talking about putting John Kasich and Charlie Baker in the cabinet. What's the point of beating a Republican if you're just going to
that was the other thing I was going to bring up, is that he said he will appoint Republicans to his cabinet. So it's
point of beating a Republican if you're just going to put Republicans back in the cabinet, because the cabinet level secretaries are the people who run the day-to-day operations of the country.
Don't ever use the word smart with me.
Trump had a good point when he said that in the debate. Joe's not very smart.
There's nothing smart about you, Joe. And it was the funny fucking thing.
Sucks.
I'm not going to lie. Mom, if you're listening to this, sorry to break your heart, but I did not vote for Joe Biden. And yes, I did vote.
For Ed Markey, though.
I did. I voted for Ed Markey, and that's all I'll say.
Fuck, you gotta throw the ball. No. And then yes on the questions.
Oh yeah, I voted for Ed Markey, and I voted yes on all the questions, and that's all I'm saying.
I think we're good to go on current events.
Yeah, I know. It means I have to talk about the West Wing.
No, wait, I got a couple.
Jesse! Do your thing.
Just give me a second to bring him up.
No, fuck you, Brutal's architecture rules!
And it's
flip the table.
The thing is, I said it's probably going to get cut anyway. Fucking Tony Hawk, sick.
Don't cut him saying that. Just that sentence.
Oh my
Tony Hawk, Sick.
Sick.
Dude, I'm so good at fucking Tony Hawk, especially THPS 3, like when you could start to do the revert. I think, was that when you could start to do the reverts?
You could revert in 2. I remember 3 was
No,
the one
you
I
couldn't.
never played.
You couldn't revert in 2 because fucking as soon as they threw the revert in, and I could just link up the fucking special after special in the airport terminal level. Oh my god, dude! I think I got 3 million points in one trick. Like I've mastered THPS 3, and if anybody thinks differently, you can fucking fight me.
I remember 2, like finally getting my first 1,000,000-point trick in the demo for 2 because I think that was when they introduced the revert. I could be wrong.
No, they had manuals in 2. No revert.
Yeah, that's what happened in 2 is they got the manual.
Did they have manuals in 1 or no?
No.
In 4, they introduced like the when you could kind of line up with the lip of something and like do an acid drop into it.
You display this as a trophy?
And then in Thug, they added the where you can just straight up jump off your board, and they would somehow fucking include that in the combo. So like that's a whole other level of
that shit was weird. And then when you got in the car and you had to drive around, it felt like you were still on your skateboard, so you're just like you could not control it for shit.
I wish now playing the remake that I could still get off my board and like run up to a spot. I do miss that for whatever reason.
All right, so back to
sidetrack. Sorry,
back to current events. So I found this through Universal Hub, which is it's my favorite Boston news source, run by one guy named Adam. And he posted an article entitled "Judge Dismisses Lawsuit Over Way Harvard Cut Short a Diatribe About Jewish Circumcision. Issue wasn't anti-Semitism, but guys on stage nudity."
What?
Yeah, so apparently, oh god, this is going to be really hard to summarize, but
Good morning. Sunday morning.
Basically, there was a guy who put on a show at Harvard, and the show included him, quote, while he was nude, having intercourse with a sex doll on stage, and played a video showing him ejaculating in the doll's mouth. All somehow connected to his argument that Jewish circumcision is evil. And then he threw a bunch of money into the crowd saying that the Jews can keep their money. Interestingly enough, the lawsuit brought against this guy was not at all related to the anti-Semitism, just the nudity. So, Harvard just carrying on the tradition of, white nationalist conspiracy theories. But dick and balls?
Yeah, this is a very strange story. I like it.
I'm not even going to elaborate any more on it because nothing about it makes it any easier to understand. So that was the first point.
What kind of garbage is that?
Second point. So this is more serious. So basically advocates for more humane addiction treatment are bringing a lawsuit against the State Department of Corrections because there are 2 facilities in Massachusetts. One of them is in Plymouth. I forget where the other one is. Basically, when people get Section 35s, which is if you're a danger to yourself or others, you can be legally detained in a psychiatric unit. But in the case of people who have substance use disorders, essentially they go to prison. There's a facility in Plymouth that ostensibly treats addiction or substance use disorders. And it's kind of come out that the conditions at this treatment facility are even worse than actual prison. And that's according to people who have been to prison and also been sectioned and ended up in this facility.
Jesus, are they hosing people down or what?
If people misspeak or something, they'll lock them in solitary for a whole day.
Hey, this is Plymouth?
Yeah, this is the facility in Plymouth. Let me look at the article again.
Your neck of the woods, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
MASAC is the acronym. It's the Massachusetts Alcohol and Substance Use Center, MASAC, in Plymouth. Why is it so hard to find? I don't know. The state is trying to absolve itself of responsibility because they outsourced oversight to a group called WellPath. And the statement they gave was, WellPath's business is grounded in providing excellent patient care and in providing excellent service and value for our clients. Our core mission is always to ensure that all of our patients receive the highest standard of care.
So this is a for-profit treatment company.
Yeah, very corporate speak.
Yeah.
Seriously. Providing value. As soon as you hear value, it's like the fuck tell. That's the word.
So the other aspect of this that's fucked up is that there's like a coronavirus outbreak at this facility.
Of course.
And instead of treating the, I'm going to call them inmates because they're being treated like fucking inmates. They're not getting like medical care. They're basically being treated with the same kind of neglect that most prisoners have been. So yeah, it doesn't look like this place is going to close.
Is there anything we can do about that?
I didn't really think about that aspect of it. Maybe I should have.
It's okay. I'm just spitballing.
No, I mean, no, you're right. You know what? We could talk about this. We got to bring this up in the next working group because this is exactly the kind of shit that we got to be tackling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck it. I'll leave it in. Listeners, this is how we do business.
We'll do it live. We're literally doing it live.
We do shit in real time and by the seat of our pants.
We're shitting in real time?
That's the Epoch promise.
Running down the street, taking a shit at full speed.
Do this shit in real time.
I don't know if I condone what is being said, but okay.
Well, anyway, that's all I got.
I don't even know where that went. Yeah, good. Thanks.
What we got next, guy?
Well, if seeing that you're here now, we were. I mean, like, well, no, there's one happy thing we can mention to end current affairs. Current affairs, yeah. Current events that we can end.
You cut
it. A little bit of a slip.
Come back.
Scott fell down a well.
Sorry, I forgot that I had to keep a button pressed down. Sorry, that was a bit of a Freudian slip.
So fucking excited.
It was.
What? Everybody's yelling at me.
Look, definitely a Freudian slip.
Will, you sound like you're down a well.
I know. I don't have a professional microphone like I assume some of you guys do.
I don't actually.
No, I'm talking into a Apple earbuds.
Well, you're talking into a webcam or your computer?
I'm talking into my computer.
Yeah, that's the difference. So
okay.
Yeah. So I'm sorry if I'm wicked facey or whatever.
No, you're not wicked.
No,
you sound fine.
You're fine.
Huh.
You guys are so supportive. Thank you.
Sorry that I totally
it's the
forgot
Boston
to
Commune.
Keep my button down. Keep my button down. Jesus.
I mean, if it's too complicated for you, Scott, like.
No, I'm adding a sound to my soundboard, so I was distracted for a second. I apologize. Seeing as we are joined by, I believe it's Ellie. Is it Ellie right now? Oh, it's okay.
Nope.
Do you have to do the you can't make shit up?
Hey, hold on. I want to say it properly. It's Chava.
Yeah, I can't even say my own fucking name today, apparently. Chava. There we go. That's better.
Would we like to go?
Jesse's the backup cliff noise maker.
Backup Jew.
If I fuck out. Oh, before I say anything, I just want to point out that Will, you say Jesus exactly the same way that Scott does, and it's hilarious.
I was flipping through some pictures of just myself. I don't know, the girlfriend I took some pictures. I know, that sounds wicked narcissistic. It's not how it was. There was some picture where I'm like, oh my God, and I look like Scott. Just the way that's hilarious.
I don't have a full-blooded sibling, so I have never had that kind of weird, perverse observation. I was going to say perverse joy. I don't know if it's joy. I'm not sure. Anyway.
It's joy.
I mean, it's a special thing, right?
Not really.
Oh, there you go. You put in the womp womp. Perfect. Okay. So...
Gotta make sure it's loud. Okay.
We get it.
You get it?
Womp womp womp.
Loud and clear the womp womps. Yeah.
There we go. You did it thing.
You get it, human? Alright.
Oh shit.
You can't make this shit up.
Yes. You can make this shit up with Comrade Will.
The thing that you can't make up
Alien
this
really
week,
wanted to host that.
There's an LA Times article. I have to share it just because it's very, I just have to. The title of the LA Times article is Barry sobbed as he begged me not to fire him. I canned him anyway, over and over. And what you learn if you read the article is that Barry is a virtual character in a VR game called Tailspin, it looks like. And this is a game, well, I don't think they're trying to market it as a game, but it's a VR training situation for people that are gonna need to learn to fire people. And I think there's other aspects of it too, but that's definitely probably the part that was focused on the most in this article, and for good reason, because I don't know, this is really fun. This is extra fun doing this because I was Ellie found this article. Ellie was like, this will be good, and Ellie probably had a couple of thoughts, and I don't remember how they phrased those thoughts. So now I'm just having my own thoughts about this article, which are probably pretty much the same. And I think that, you know where I'm going with this. Get put on a VR helmet and learn to fire somebody. Let me see if I can find some like good little snippets.
Yeah, it's a simulator to unlearn empathy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was exactly my thought. It was like, oh, it's practicing sociopathy.
Exactly. It's like time for your dehumanization practice.
That, you know what? That's probably the equivalent of like doing the
5-minute conversation with Pete Buttigieg.
No.
What?
Yeah. What? That's pretty apt. I was gonna say like preparing people for military by like doing like simulations of just shooting civilians or something.
That's the thing, like it's the same kind of idea, but that's already a thing. That's just like every video game. This is like
it's just video games.
Yeah, this is like actual human interaction. You have to say stuff to the guy and he starts crying. It's intense. His name is Barry.
I am positive we would have played that in my business classes in college too, because we already did like the mock hire fire thing back when I was in college, and I can't imagine like outsourcing it even in a sadder way.
Yeah. Barry shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He didn't know why I'd called him into my office, but he knew it couldn't be good.
I didn't read the article, but I saw the headline, and the picture of Barry is so sad. He looks like such like a he's Glenn Gill from The Simpsons. He looks so meek and sad.
Oh yeah, he was almost done paying off his hot plate, but not quite. Barry Thompson. He looks
so
kind of like my old boss.
That's so fucked up that they give it's like they tell this guy's fucking story. They make him as human as possible.
Yeah.
And you gotta kick him in the nuts, basically.
It's like realistic. It's like I told him we had gotten another report of inappropriate behavior, his 6th this year. And then Barry says, "Oh, come on, everyone is so sensitive. You know, it wasn't like this 10 years ago." Barry was in his 60s.
Is Barry like a creep, though?
I don't know. They kind of imply that he is and just doesn't understand how to not be a creep, which is too bad.
So you learn to fire Barry under the assumption that he's like a sexual predator?
I mean, that seems to be one way you could fill that in, yeah. And it's like, no, you apparently, your company has no resources to like educate people instead of punishing them.
Yeah, and like that, I feel like that just translates to like, if somebody doesn't perform up to task, you just treat them the way that you treated like sex predator Barry.
Yeah.
Way to go, America. We're one step closer to all being soulless automatons who work for Jeff Bezos.
That's the one. Jeff Bezos. I saw the iguana thing, and I wanted to add that I have eaten iguana, and it tastes okay.
Wait,
what?
If you go to Saviner's in Cambridge, they have lots of weird meat, and one time I was like, I'm going to go here and bring the weirdest meat that I can find to this barbecue, and they had iguana, and I was like, yes, we are going to get this.
For a second, I thought, like, you were going to say you had iguana in California, but now I know that it's Cambridge. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from. I do not know.
I ate gator in Quincy, so that's not all that crazy.
Yeah, I ate gator in North Carolina, and it was fucking good.
It's tasty. It tastes like chicken.
Actually, that's pretty good.
It actually does taste like chicken. Like, it's not a trope. It's a truth.
That's literally what it tastes
tough.
like. Yeah, it was tougher.
Yeah, it's
what
like,
is that Matthew Broderick movie where he works for the mob and he helps them transport a iguana as a rare meat for a restaurant now?
I don't know, but if any of us knew, I would expect it to be you.
Yeah, you're the movie guy.
No, I've seen it. I was in a film class. Where we watched it, so that's why I'm like, fuck, I can't remember it. And I think the title has some like reference to The Godfather. I'm gonna have to IMDb Mr. Broderick. So
it wasn't Get Smart,
Scott,
right?
Forgot what he watched.
No, that was not Get Smart.
I watched it like fucking 20 years ago.
But don't. Love that jingle. Probably my favorite.
Yeah, the jazzy.
Super good.
It's called The Freshman.
The Freshman.
1990. It's Marlon Brando's in it, and he's playing a character that's kind of like a play on, the character from The Godfather.
Is that the song by the Verve Pipe of the same?
Also,
era?
it's from the Verve Pipe. The Verve Pipe song is called The Freshman. But it's a Gila monster, not a Komodo dragon, not an iguana.
Those things are
still very fucking. It's a very weird movie, and I guess that's going to be the first recommendation for the night. But I do have some
Komodo dragon. It's not a semantic difference.
Yeah, they're like deathly poisonous, aren't they?
Big ol'
venomous. Sorry,
big ol' lizard.
Yes,
are they?
that's
I don't
correct.
know. You don't want to fuck with them.
Sorry.
No, because poisonous means that they're like, if you ingest them, then they can poison you, whereas venomous means that they have to put the poison in you. Yeah,
that was what I thought until, like, because I never did any research into it. I just seen fucking Cody McCowboy Hat get bitten by, I think he got bitten by
he goes, Coyote Peterson. Yeah, he goes over it. Yeah,
I just called him Cody. What is his name?
Cody McCowboy Hat.
Cody Peterson.
Tarantula hawk. Well, it's not a tarantula, and it's not a hawk.
Correct.
That's our man. No, I seriously do recommend the YouTube series where he works his way up the pain scale of stings, because it's some existential shit. It's a very captivating watch.
Seconded.
He's doing the Lord's work, Cody Peterson.
But Rush Limbaugh has terminal cancer.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Did you just find this
Pretty
out?
dope.
Yeah, it was announced today, so...
Bye-bye.
No.
All right, I'll admit the soundboard.
Word to respond to that. Hooray!
The soundboard was a good idea, Scott.
It's just a good vibe.
I know.
Killed me.
Hooray for cancer! I never thought I'd said that before, but here we are.
So yeah, I don't think Rush Limbaugh is long for this world.
Rest in piss.
Hell yeah.
Cool, because that means soon we'll only have, several hundred other
the rest of the fascist billionaires.
Well, I mean...
But sometimes that is better.
Oh.
That's true. That's marginally better.
We still will have people like...
Wet-ass keyword.
So, I mean, but still...
Wet-ass keyword.
Keyword. Sorry, I'm going off, because I don't want to talk about the West Wing special that I watched.
Ooh.
Well, it's your job, Scott.
It's garbage.
It's what you don't get paid to do.
So I don't... Yeah, fucking go on our Patreon. And pay for us to deliver you entertaining and thought-provoking content. Entertaining and thought-provoking content, Joseph. I don't want to go too long with this. And I guess this could, because you don't have a rad, you don't really have a proper.
I don't have any rabid red libs. Yeah.
And I think this would this works well to fill the hole in the absence of your segment, because
fill that fucking hole.
Oh, that was,
do me like Craig did me.
Have a better choke me out.
Yeah. Talking about filling holes. But the thing about the whole thing is so if you don't know, HBO Max, which, Will, you can explain how we have a subscription to that, but we have a subscription to that.
We don't need to explain that.
We don't need to explain it. But Mr. Aaron Sorkin and HBO Max decided to team up and do this it's a fucking, it's not a table read so much as it's like a play performance of an episode from season 3 of The West Wing. And I never watched The West Wing, and so to judge I'm less concerned with The West Wing itself. It's annoying, and if you've watched The West Wing, and if you okay, Joe, you've watched The West Wing, so you can attest for this. President Bartlett is the character, right?
Based off of he's loosely based off of Bill Clinton, basically.
Fucking really? Oh my god, that's
that's what it is.
President Martin Sheen, I'm going to say. Who gives a fuck about his name?
President Martin Sheen is his character is based off of Bill Clinton, or Aaron Sorkin's idea of what he wanted Bill Clinton to be.
It's so weird, dude.
Yeah, it's Bill Clinton fanfic.
Yeah, essentially.
So strange.
So is Wag the Dog. Wag the Dog is also Bill Clinton fanfic.
Yeah,
where it came out makes sense.
Wag the Dog is a little bit more satirical, though. But yeah, anyway, so President Bartlett, so there's his whole character is. He's not normal. He's basically they start a scene where he'll start talking to someone, and instead of just talking direct to a person, he'll sit down with at a chessboard, and for some weird reason he'll go over the history of chess and the origins of chess and the origin of the specific moves in chess, and it's why are you talking about it comes off with this smug we know a lot about we know a lot of stupid pointless nuances about the world. It doesn't feel the way that a person would actually talk, especially a politician. I feel a politician, especially the president, would be more direct. if they wanted to be like effective and not be like just show off how like academic they are. And that's the problem, is that like he's a very academic character, and that doesn't necessarily mean that like being smarter than the other guy doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good politician or that your politics are right, you know. And that's the problem basically that I have with the show itself.
Well, that ended up kind of playing out with Buttigieg. Like, the pitch was that he knew 9 languages, and he was a pretentious motherfucker, little rat-faced bastard.
Yes, and like him, what the fuck is that dork-ass Bradley Whitford has, they both have voices that are torture devices. And that, like, my problem with the special is that between the supposed, like, commercial breaks of the show, is that, like, they would have, like, it would be, like, the Obamas, or, like, it was, at one point, it was Bill fucking Clinton, and, like, Bill Clinton is honestly, like, he's getting to the point where, like, he's starting to look like the skeleton of Conan O'Brien. Like, he looks awful. Like, he genuinely looks terrible.
How do I look?
Like, he looked, like, happy that veganism and, like, adrenochrome is keeping him alive. But, like, he just looks like shit. But, like, he'll, like, at one point, like, Bradley Whitford, and it's actually kind of cool, his segment, an aspect of it is cool. But, like, they'll come on and they'll basically, like, woke scold you into voting, you know? They'll be like, don't you feel bad for these groups that have been hurt by the Trump administration? Or don't you feel bad for these groups that potentially could get further? And it's just like, that's not, yeah, exactly. That's not a way to sell politics. That's not a way to sell, like, you have to say what you'll do in power. And there isn't really a sell about that. And I think partially that's why they picked this episode, because it has to do, one, with, like, this military exercise with China that, like, stokes anti-Chinese fears, which is just like, of course you would do that right now, Aaron Sorkin, you fucking liberal. But at the same time, like, it shows a president under pressure during an election season, the night of an election. And that is supposed to, I think, Aaron Sorkin is trying to, like, cosmically put some energy onto Joe Biden and onto the Biden campaign.
Oh, like The Secret.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that how it works? Oh, man.
Yeah, like, you send out those mental waves.
If you dream it will happen.
Yeah, exactly. It comes off with this smug kind of like, oh yeah, it was very painful to endure, but it just comes off with this very smug, like, you better vote. But, like, what was cool about the Bradley Whitford part is that, like, it was him and a deaf woman who was communicating through ASL. And I thought, like, that's really cool that they, like, highlighted that, you know? But that's, like, kind of the only segment where, like, they highlighted someone that, like, either has a disability or, like, isn't, like, a rich liberal person, you know? Or a person who, like, formerly was in power. And it just comes off a little bit too, you know, just indulgent and full of itself and utterly pointless. Like, this kind of, like, it's his liberal fantasy that Aaron Sorkin is just, like, he's having fun with his friends and it doesn't add anything. And it's just, it was a fucking waste of time to watch. And it was painful, but it was only 1 hour and 4 minutes. So it's tolerable, but it's bad.
You know what's really hilarious?
Sterling K. Brown, I'll say, is really great. So, yes, Joe.
What's really funny about the show is it's like a liberal fantasy of, like, oh, like, liberals in power. And in this liberal fantasy, they still can't get anything done.
Yeah, and a lot of their, like, hopes and a lot of the things that they're trying to do are either, like, based on or, like, entirely dependent upon, like, these, like, liberal folkisms, like, being real or, like, actually, like, coming to pass. And it's like, just like, what the fuck? Like, it's just, it was, bleh. Yeah, exactly, Joe. It's just, it's a very indulgent and very ineffective, like, liberal fantasy about, like, the promise of the centrists and the promise of the Democrats, which is, like, we don't improve anything. We just sound smart and keep our arms crossed and hope that people just keep voting for us. We make promises that are not fulfilled, but come on. Or at least we're not the other guys.
Of my liberal fantasy.
The deaf woman.
Yes.
How'd
and,
she
like,
look?
the fucking episode itself had, like, it had this, like, it has some jokes that, like they're kind of, like, kink-shaming jokes, and, like, they're also kind of, like, homophobic, and, like, it's, like, there was, like, a very prominent joke that, like, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, that, like, kind of, like, ruins the fact that you had this person who was using ASL, like, kind of ruins the fact that you're trying to have representation when you have this really ugly joke at the end of this fucking episode. It's just, ugh. Maybe you should have written that one out. You had the opportunity to not include that, Mr. Sorkin.
No intersectionality fail.
Man, woman, I don't care. I'll fuck them. I don't care if they're deaf.
I've done it with pigs. Real no fooling pigs.
I'd fuck a literal
very
sheep.
Progressive, Mr. Clinton. Very progressive.
Was it David Cameron who fucked a pig?
Correct.
Pigs of color.
That was a real thing?
That was a real thing, bro.
Isn't part of like the club in Yale, or it's like a Skull and Bone Society? Like, pretty sure you have to fuck a pig or something.
Basically, like they had a pig, and like it like.
So that means Pete Buttigieg fucked a pig.
They had a pig there, and like I don't know, like Mr. Cameron was naked, and like I don't know if he got like hard and actually like penetrated the pig, but there was some like I think there was some dick to pig connection there.
DTP.
So, yeah.
DTP.
DTPC.
Yes.
Can we call the episode that?
Yes.
D2PC or D2P?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh no.
So let's talk about how you talk to normies.
Yeah. Just a totally smooth transition into liberal politicking.
You definitely talk about pig fucking when you talk to normies.
All right, I'll note that.
The greetings, fellow kids of Talking to Libs.
Hello, fellow liberal. Are you interested in penetrating a pig? That's step one. What's step two?
Wait, what? Am I like in charge of this?
That's as many steps as is needed, I think. I don't really have structure for this. I do have a doc. But you guys were also shooting the shit in the Discord. So I just thought, you guys could just begin. But I do have a question to be... Ooh, baby. That's a normie thing to do, just burp on mic.
Yeah,
it's
make
cool.
sure you burp in the middle of talking. That
wasn't even in the middle of talking. That was just, I liked it.
I was going to say begin, but that was working.
Yeah, lead in with the question, man.
I'm fucking trying to, guys. I'm introducing. Jesus. God, I was going to start. Like, literally, I was going to say, like, well, with that said, I would like to begin. Like, I'm going to at least, like, pose a question. I hate all of you, you son of bitches.
I'm leaving all of it.
I hate all of you. I hate all of you. All right, so we're going to lead it off with a question that I have, which is what seems to be the major concern when you're talking to normies? What seems to be the major concern that most people express when you're talking about politics? When they are open enough to express their concerns about politics?
Everybody's really just, not to down, but everyone's very worried about themselves.
Oh, do you want to give context for like how you hear these conversations? Like,
all right. So, yeah. Not to give too much information or anything, I am a barber on the South Shore / Southeastern Mass, and I talk to it's a relatively red area, and I just get these people in my chair all day long, and I can't help myself but to be loud about politics. So shit comes up.
Right, and for what it's worth, if I make any interjections, the guys that I talk to are generally union workers who have struggled with substance use disorders. It's a pretty specific subset of people, but still useful in many ways.
Hey, you're used somewhere.
So not to totally sidetrack off of Scott's question or anything like that for you, Jesse, but where you have a lot of union guys that you talk to, do you find a lot of people shockingly go against their best interests?
100% of the time, almost.
Yeah, universally. Absolutely.
I don't like to make the argument about going against one's best interest because, right now I'm a white guy who I'm not concerned about paying my rent, and, I'm a communist, you know what I mean? If I was just, going with my interests or whatever, I could, learn to be a scumbag, self-involved, entrepreneur type, but, I don't want to be that kind of person. I would rather extend myself to people who actually need support.
Yeah, and I realize that that's kind of a funny way to pose that question and agree with you after I had just said that most people only worry about themselves. Because it does seem to be like a bit of a split personality about what people believe is good for them and what actually is good for them. Not to say that I know what's good for other people. That sounds awful presumptuous too. But when it comes to specifically like union people, you're like, okay, well, labor typically doesn't side with Republicans.
I think part of the problem with union workers is that they don't really...
That's not entirely true. Because there are some Republicans that, like the AFL-CIO, will back.
True, but at least in like right now, I mean, I'm going off like what we've been leading up to over the last 6 months to a year, which is ideally presidential stuff like that. And they do not, like, they always vote Republican presidents. A lot of them do.
Yeah.
The words, the AFL-CIO, I know, typically also goes out, supports Democrats and stuff.
I think, and I've heard other pseudo, I guess, sort of leftists talk about this, but honestly, I think a lot of it is that, especially in Massachusetts and the Boston area, because we still have a pretty high union density, like, workers don't realize how good they actually have it as union workers, because, like, once you're in the union, you're kind of in the union. Like, you can fuck up a lot, and because you have protections through the union, like, especially my guys, like, they'll go in and out of treatment and they'll go back to work. You know what I mean? They get healthcare covered, they get fucking paid time off. Like, they don't have to worry about the things that non-union workers are constantly, like, terrified by.
As a former union worker myself, I can vouch for that.
Where are you a union worker?
UPS.
So, like, in Massachusetts, a lot of the time, having union ties, it, like, opens a lot of doors to services that otherwise you wouldn't even know about. I can't really say the same for the rest of the country, but, like, I still think, this is a Boston-based podcast. Like,
yeah, what's the deal with the barbers union?
I don't rightfully know, to be totally fair with you. Like, there used to be a barbers union, and then there wasn't, and I think there's some people trying to revive it. But whenever I read the website, it kind of sounds like a sketchy cash grab. So I don't quite buy it.
Yeah, union corruption is a whole other thing. That's where my skepticism comes in regard to building power only through labor unions. Like, I definitely still think we need a party structure to organize under.
Hell yeah.
That's a funny thing when you talk about corruption that I've discovered in talking to, I guess, more conservative types and stuff like that, is their default, you bring up a potentially good thing, just to, these specifics of like the eviction moratorium expiring and everything, or trying to support the Mike Conley's bill and stuff like that. Everybody immediately jumps to like, well, what about the people that can afford their rent but don't pay it? Like, tenants are the only ones that are possibly corrupt and not landlords who are trying to figure out ways to cheat people out of their deposits in their first and last month. I don't know if anybody else has discovered that, but that's something I find pretty regular.
It honestly just sounds like most of the guys that I talk to, they could just be like, Fox News pundits. I'm
confused about the concern for the people who are already paying their rents. Like, why is that if they're already paying their rents? But if they're already paying their rents, then what the fuck are you worried about? Then they're fine,
Well, no, I mean, the comment that I've heard has been what about people that can afford it but aren't paying it because they know they can't be evicted? To which they say, who really is trying to rack up that big of a bill?
Exactly. You want to keep your budget in order, even under especially under stressful times like a pandemic. You want to know where your money is going to be, so you would pay your bills on time, or at least try to, especially keep your rents at least that's some stability.
So I think it's not that people are formulating political ideology based on even their own beliefs, let alone their own needs or their own desires. It's almost like they just take cues from pundits about what to think about political messaging.
It's like you take the party line and that is your line, and you don't have to give it any more thought than just that.
My brain is still in recovery mode from taking in so many high-level important ideas.
Basically.
I can have conversations with people where they agree with, if I keep it metaphorical, they will agree with my stance if I talk about working class solidarity, or if I talk about raising the floor for everybody, rather than, concentrating wealth. They're fucking on board, but the next minute they'll go off on some shit about how Antifa, hates white people or something.
Yeah.
What do you mean when you keep it metaphorical?
Like if somebody,
like not like approaching it directly
without giving specific examples, like without referencing something that's actually happening, that's being covered in the news at current. If I just talk about the dynamic that drives those certain inciting events, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like I can't talk about George Floyd, but I can talk about inequality and police brutality.
Yeah, to follow up on that, I found that very useful too, because the second, like my biggest thing I try to keep people away from, or I try to stay away from, is trying to use like a particular pundit or a particular politician as an example of what my beliefs are or anything like that. Because the second you say like, oh, I like Trump, then everybody assumes that like, oh, which I don't, obviously, but everyone, all the values of that one individual get clumped into, oh, that must be what you believe, or people assume like, oh, you're a Democrat, so you must be like, oh, you love Pelosi and Schumer. No, you're not. But if you start talking about wealth inequality, you start talking about like how fucked up the healthcare system is, how fucked up this, that, or whatever else is, everybody's generally on board with that. But the second you say what side you're on, and you drop a name like, oh, Sanders, and they're like, oh, you're fucking rad. What the fuck? And it just is counterproductive to do it.
The name of this Kraken is ideology.
Like you want to keep them on your side until you don't want them to realize that there are things you guys disagree about until it's absolutely necessary.
Well, because but you're right, because for the most part we agree. And it's funny that we keep kind of harping on talking to conservatives and stuff like that when we were discussing in the chat that liberals end up posing more of a challenge. But absolutely, like you have so much common ground, and everything else has been designed to be so divisive that it isn't hard to just talk about the things that actually matter to people, which is like, hey, I want my family to be safe, healthy, and to make a little bit of money, and just kind of eke through an existence and have a nice life. That's the bottom line.
I think it's funny though that like the liberals though, they're actually somewhat more hostile to like our ideas than conservatives are, at least in my experience. Because if you point out like inconsistencies or like clear contradiction between like stated rhetoric of liberals and like what actually ends up happening, it kind of breaks the brains a bit, and they immediately go on offense. Like, yeah,
I know that we both were talking about this in the chat. For the sort of, at least for the people that I am most interact with most, which is like middle-aged men, the default position is conservatism, especially for people who grew up in like Southie and fucking Charlestown. Like they are surrounded by
especially
very much
who grew up in the 80s as well.
Yeah, it's like this Irish Catholic conservatism. And a lot of their relatives are cops. Like, it's insane how many of these fucking people are related to police. So now, like, the default position for these guys is essentially conservatism, and they don't have to do any research into that. Like, they turn on the TV, they don't care what channel it's on, it's probably Fox, they'll watch it, whatever. They'll just, like, assume that shit, They'll assume the ideology. They don't really question it. They've heard it their whole lives, especially if they've done any prison time. Like, definitely reinforces the sort of tribalism that conservatism thrives upon. But liberalism is a whole different beast, because it's the same economic platform. Now it's sort of the default, I feel like, for our generation, for probably, I would guess, Generation Z also. But being like a faithful liberal entails actually holding dear contradictions, like believing in
cognitive dissonance. It's like a cognitive dissonance that you aren't aware of.
It's okay to bomb these brown people because that's good for democracy, versus like, oh yeah, I fucking, I served over there, and the way those people live, or it's like fucking animals, like they're disgusting. That's different than the, oh, well, I'm sure like, Nancy Pelosi knows what she's talking about because she's like well educated and blah, blah, blah. Like, just totally buying into this like meritocracy bullshit. Younger people are more engaged in politics in general. Like
older liberals, like they'll like claim that they understood what was going on, like say in the 90s, but like completely oblivious to what was actually happening, like the bigger picture.
Right. And then for anyone who's actually staying up to date and watching CNN every fucking day and MSNBC, like they know exactly what the dynamics are, and they just have shitty takes. Like, they just fully believe things that are contradictory, and in my experience, is actually harder to deal with.
Yeah, this brings up kind of an interesting question we've had in some of our chapter meetings and stuff like that, which is, has anyone had any luck? Well, I'll back up.
Which chapter is that before you continue?
South Shore DSA. So
we want to shout them out, just saying.
South Shore DSA. I guess I'm a rep. Nobody knows I'm doing this. I can usually have a pretty good chats about class solidarity with conservatives who tend to be more, at least the ones that I deal with, more working class and stuff like that. Kind of like you said, like the your Southie type of crap, guys that moved out of there. Has anyone had any luck in talking to like professional middle class about being, or like, let's say like a tech worker or like a programmer or something like that? And you're like, hey, listen, man, I know, but like, listen, man, like, you're a worker, the same as the rest of us are. You should believe in workers' rights and realize that you're part of this class and have a little bit of solidarity there. Has anyone tried breaching that and had any success, at all?
I have tried, and I have not had success.
No, you can't.
The tech scene in Boston is very, I wouldn't say conservative, but they're very neoliberal.
I can't take any credit for it, honestly, because he did it on his own, but my partner has actually sort of contemplated, at the very least, getting involved with organizing stuff at his workplace, and he's a software engineer, but he's definitely not like a leftist, per se.
Yeah, there's pockets here and there, but for the most part, the tech scene in Boston is just a largely apolitical, or neoliberal kind of collection of people. So,
and like, maybe I'm picking on the tech industry specifically, but it also could go for like certain finance industries, because I remember one particular comment from somebody. No, I know, and I remember
because through my job, I have actually interacted. Yeah, I actually interact directly with the heart of the tech and financial industry of Boston. So, but no, continue. I'm sorry.
No, but because people be back in the day when Bernie was still in the mix, we were talking about them and how much I supported them, and I had people who were generally really, really on board with my issues when it came to climate and Medicare for all, all these types of things, but they were not. But they didn't want regulation of that industry because they knew ultimately it meant their livelihood. Which I'm not going to blame anybody for not voting against their interests. If this dude was going to get fired or laid off because we regulated his industry, I don't want to put him out. He's got kids. I get it.
Yeah, but we wouldn't put him out. There's a jobs program that would be a part of the Green New Deal and Medicare for all bills that would make sure that people wouldn't lose their jobs. We put in equally as important jobs that would probably actually be more beneficial in society if we had those policies.
And it is so funny.
But I digress.
People about stuff like that hate their jobs and absolutely bitch about their jobs, and then you try to say oh, well, there's a better way. Maybe we can do it another way, and then they're like, nah.
They just say nah.
Let me say this. I don't want to paint any well, I guess in a sense, if I say liberal or conservative, I'm by definition kind of painting people with a broad brush. But all of this shit is still going to be somewhat specific to the area. So in Boston, I've said this, what feels like a zillion fucking times, a lot of people work in medical coding and healthcare here.
We are in healthcare states, so.
Yeah. So the issues that we will be able to agree with liberals on here are going to be different than they would be in, say, Illinois.
I will say foreign policy is usually a winner. I remember, it's the funniest thing. I'm probably not going to be able to forget it that easily. I was in a bar, right, and the guy, this older guy, maybe 60, sitting next to me, and he asked me what I'm drinking, and we started talking about foreign interventionism, because it's around the time the United States is pulling out of Rojava.
How the hell does that come up from what are you drinking?
I'm drinking the alcohol of the liberation.
I have my ways. And I think I was probably wearing a Bernie shirt that probably helped accelerate it. And it's don't you think we shouldn't be overseas, occupying all these countries? And he looks at me and he sighs and he goes, well, I guess someone's got to do all the killing.
Nuke the whales. Gotta nuke something.
Gotta nuke something.
That's something that in my experience, conservatives are not receptive to, especially since, a lot of them have been or know people who were in the service. They don't really give a fuck about, really any other countries.
Yeah, and I think it's very hard to imagine a world where killing is unnecessary, unless you've been heavily radicalized at this point, I think.
And actually,
it's easy to wonder with libertarians, at least in my experience.
Yeah.
What was it, libertarian? What was that, Joe?
In my experience, libertarians are receptive to like our ideas of foreign policy.
Yes.
Yeah. That was something I wanted you to talk about, Jesse. Yeah.
Domestic policy where things go to shit.
Right, but to sort of reinforce what I was saying in regard to, like, you can't paint all conservatives as or all servicemen or whatever as, you know, holding the exact same ideology, because, like, I almost feel weird talking about it on the podcast, but one of my clients he got a traumatic brain injury from an IED, and he's, like, totally on board with a lot of the ideology that I hold. Like, he thinks I'm a communist. He knows that I'm a communist. He thinks it's fucking great for, I don't know why. Like, I'm glad.
This guy's kind of rad, actually.
Yeah, no, he's fucking awesome, and he's really smart, but still, you know, I think is kind of bigoted, you know? There are some people that have such bad experiences with trying to, like, enforce the ideals of American imperialism that they become radicalized in the opposite direction. There's actually a few really good podcasts. One of them is That's a Hell of a Way to Die.
Eyes Left is also a good one.
Yeah, Eyes Left.
Yeah, Hell of a Way to Die is good, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's certainly possible. It's just not as common. But I think absolutely, like, vets could potentially be allies.
Pat Tillman, absolutely.
Yeah, so, like, I don't want to rule anybody out. You can't just assume that because somebody is, you know, a proud veteran, that they're fucking proud of this country. They might be proud of their own service, but still be extremely critical of, you know, the way that the VA functions, or the way that they were unable to, you know, seek help for treatment for PTSD or whatever when they came home. And, like, there was a whole false narrative about the way that, like, Vietnam War vets were received when they came home. Like, the vast majority of them were fucking welcomed with open arms. There was, like, a minority of people were, you know, antagonistic or, you know, resentful at these people. It was a small group of people that got amplified through media because it was, you know, Nixon. Nixon used the false working class, the way that we can connect with conservatives with that working class identity. He used that against the American people.
Yeah, and, like, it's a good movie, but that's the poison seed at the heart of, like, First Blood and the Rambo series. Is the whole, like, myth of, like, the spat on Vietnam vet. So,
but even like you were saying about the you know, vets coming back, being radicalized and recognizing kind of what's going on. Like, Chris Dorner, for example, was not a total fluke.
We're going into, like, real. Okay, this is incredible.
We can U-turn out of this one, but because I don't really feel like going down that path a whole lot. But I mean, there's something to be said about when it comes to that.
We're going down the true noun pipeline. I love it.
No, I mean, we can get back to just, you know, the normies again. Would anyone resent that term?
But what about Chris Dorner, by the way?
No, but I mean, just to, oh God, I don't even know where to go with it. But just in fact, in saying, like, yeah, some vets see it and kind of recognize, like, oh shit.
Yeah, like, honestly, it's fucking horrifying, the shit that they go through, because they're programmed to be killing machines, and it fucks them up. But again, not all of them see combat, like the grunt style guy. I gotta look up his name. I mean, what people recognize, whether or not they serve, is that, and whether or not they believe that there's anything to be gained through war, they at least recognize that, like, for some of these countries, it is an endless, useless occupation. Like, and I think the liberal conservative duopoly propagates this idea that, like, you know, it might be in some ways useless and endless, but it's necessary to maintain this global, you know, this
global liberal hegemony.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like the world would fall apart if we weren't doing some horrible shit.
Yeah, like, when we talk about, like, or when you talk about the Overton window, like, even though it's a term that I don't use and I detest and I think is, like, a terrible way to look at politics, like, the Overton window exists in the context of that. So, you know, like, that's the problem with our politics, is that it is so limited in its view. So I guess, like, in your experience, like, people are very open to share, like, their political views, basically.
To shift back a little bit, one of my favorite kind of last words in a conversation I had with somebody once is they were talking about, we were talking about taxes and what taxes go to and stuff like that. And being a cash business, that comes with a certain, chuckle about, how much is reported and stuff like that. But somebody made a comment about saying like, oh, I just don't want the taxes to go to the government so they can keep paying for their, so all these people coming into the country illegally can pay for their Obama phones or whatever like that, which I know is totally bunk. But my last word was basically like,
Obama phones? Wow.
Some trope that I'm sure made the rounds fucking 10 years ago. But my old comment was like, I'm tired of paying for bombs blowing up kids in the Middle East.
Yup.
And that was pretty much it. And the person I sent it to just kind of stared at me like, oh, well, fuck, what do I say to that? And you're like, well, yeah, I mean, it's people recognize that taxes, the government isn't going away. It's a necessary evil if you want to look at it that way, at least for the time being and stuff like that. And it really just becomes a question of prioritizing where the money goes. Like, do we help people? Do we help people here? Do we help individuals, families, whatever it is, versus do we help corporations and bail them motherfuckers out and keep investing into the military industrial complex? Or what's your choice? Which one do you like? Guns or butter? What's your choice?
Yeah, really.
Of like, are we going to bomb the brown kids in the Middle East incessantly, or are we going to get rid of poverty and give everybody decent health care?
A lot of the time, just bringing up the way that the federal budget gets split up. I mean, I've had some success with this with clients that I've had that were liberal-ish or sort of non-ideological. Just showing them the pie graph of the way that discretionary spending happens in the federal budget proved a point.
62 cents on your dollar goes to the military. And that's obscene. And people, I think, do recognize that. And you're obviously going to have the people who are going to be like, well, I like a nice, strong country, which is, compensating whatever way it is. But most people recognize that that's ridiculous.
Do people really believe that a strong country means a strong military presence?
Yes, they do.
Absolutely do.
It's funny because a lot of
I feel stupid for asking, actually. It's America.
It's funny because a lot of that money, goes to the military. If you're actually being realistic, if we're keeping it at 100, a lot of that money that goes to the military actually ends up going to Lockheed Martin and Raytheon through subsidies and contracts.
It's even worse than that. They'll spend millions of dollars building a temporary complex that fills up with garbage from the guys that are stationed over there, and then they don't clean it up. So a lot of these former military sites just end up becoming local junkyards, and they just leave basically decommissioned fucking weaponry and
way to go. We spent $40 million on a junkyard.
Dude, it's it just becomes the local playground. It's
all the undetonated claymores that you could ever need.
I don't think I realized until probably the last 2 or 3 months how much of a foothold companies like Raytheon and Lockheed have in this state as it is. We like to think that we're kind of removed from the whole military.
Yes. I lived down the road from 2 separate Raytheon complexes. There are 2 Raytheon complexes within 5 miles of my house.
Yeah, they were one of our clients at my old firm.
We're not being overly critical, Will, but no, yeah.
No, that's fine. Like I said, this is just kind of a new realization to me, because when you think about the military spending, you do think of oh my God, Virginia, Washington, Maryland, kind of all these areas and the places around the bases. And yeah, we have bases, but I just didn't recognize what a foothold these companies, these private companies had in Massachusetts.
I'm pretty sure Lockheed, did they not contribute? I'm pretty sure they contributed a fair penny to Warren's campaign.
Yes, they did.
Almost definitely, yeah.
Jeez.
Money.
You gotta remember that a lot of the kids who go to school for engineering and shit, like MIT,
sucked up by the military eventually.
Yeah, they just end up working for fucking Raytheon. They're not all gonna go on to invent a life-saving water filtration system or something.
Or they make killer robots for Boston Dynamics.
Right?
Those things are terrifying.
I have a very close friend who works
Those are
for
universally feared. And you talk to anybody, those geek out everyone.
Terrifying little...
That's the correct response.
They stopped making the, they stopped getting funded for the humanoid ones because, if I remember correctly, partially because people were they were freaking everybody out. Everybody's scared of Big Dog, too.
That's incredible.
Big Dog is kind of cute, he's like a dog.
Yeah, Big Dog's funny.
Big Dog is amazing.
Have you guys seen the predecessors to that though?
Yeah.
They're
With, like, the
fucking
neck.
they're fucking terrifying. No,
The
they're
one that
like
has the
troll
neck
looking.
is weird.
Oh God,
Yeah, very
I'm
weird.
beasts.
They're like bulbous fucking. They look like oxen or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
And they're loud.
All of them are loud. Big Dog is loud. Like Atlas
Well, I
is
mean,
loud.
the older ones were louder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you said loud, I thought like, oh, do they start like wailing like an animal? And then I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Big Dog, speak. You know?
We just come to make sure your baby's okay.
Oh Lord.
So
I got the timing.
I feel like I've been talking too much. Like, Will, you're our guest. I want to hear a little bit more about your barber shop.
Yes.
No, I mean, that's it. I mean, I remember being on a call with you guys months ago, and I think we kind of all made the resolve to be a little less compromising about our views and stuff like that, which still holds true. But I've discovered that the second you use those keywords, socialist, leftist, Marxist, whatever, people shut you down faster than fucking anything. And it's useless to even try to go down that road. But the second you just be like, hey, don't you think you should have like democratic control of your workplace? Everybody is 1,000% on board. They're like, yeah, I know more than the fucking boss anyway. You're right. We should be able to vote on it and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah, you just can't bring your ego into it. You can't
Right.
like admit that you have an ego and that ego has views.
and it's just you just gotta. It's almost know your audience and it's knowing your audience, which I guess is lucky for me because I've known these people for long enough where it's easy to talk to. But it's just I guess knowing the things to stay away from while still pushing your agenda heavy.
Do you still get a lot of cops?
Oh God, yeah.
What do they have to say?
I don't say much about that.
What do they say about what's going on with protests?
See, this one's dodgy, man, because we were even looking at like some of the southeastern coalitions and stuff like that. And then when I was looking at the website of all the individuals involved with it, I know all of them, like all of the leadership of Semlec and everything like that, the people that were tear gassing down in Brockton. I know everybody, and that puts me in a very uncomfortable.
Oh, you know
spot.
the cops? Wow.
Oh yeah. So I don't go down that road. That's why I say know your audience. No, you're not going to talk about police brutality and defunding the police with a cop and get anywhere.
Yeah, nobody wants to. They're gonna always hear like, I think you shouldn't have a job.
Right.
Yeah,
Which is not what you mean.
I caught one dude overhearing me when I was basically saying to somebody who was sympathetic to where we are and everything like that. I was just like, I just think communities should be able to decide how they themselves are policed. Like how our towns are policed is not the same way that a Dorchester, Roxbury, Mattapan should be policed. It's just not the same community with the same needs, and it's not necessary for everybody to be treated the same. And I remember kind of like glancing over and seeing the guy kind of give like a nod, like, "Oh, that was a good answer." You know what I mean? So I didn't piss him off too bad that day, which was good. Still got to drive through these towns.
It's still sketchy that he was like listening in on the conversation.
Yeah, but I know he was.
You think they're gonna pull you over one night like fucking Mississippi Burning? What the fuck?
No, but I mean, it's not. It's not out of the question.
You're that barber with the weird ideas.
What do you mean it's not out of the question? It's the South Shore.
Yeah, I know.
Bro, that's practically Mississippi.
No, I don't worry for myself, but it's still like I said.
I was being jocular.
Facetious.
Yes, that's the word. God damn.
I learned that I've been using that word wrong.
Jocular?
It's apparently meant specifically for situations in which the flippant joke was like extremely too flippant. Instead of just like flippant at all, it's like it's a somber situation and you just made a wisecrack that was not appropriate. Apparently that's what facetious means.
Yes, it's like 20% of the jokes that I make on this podcast.
Yeah, you skirt that line.
A little bit.
Well, did you see the page of questions?
Hold on a second. I just looked up the definition of jocular and I used it exactly as I intended to.
We got a good English boy.
I didn't mean to call into question your use of jocular. I thought that was very apt. I was pointing out my own use of facetious in the past. Grammarchisting myself.
In fact, Merriam-Webster says, see joke. It says, hold on.
Funny joke.
It says, given to jesting. Okay? Funny joke.
Hello,
joke.
genius. Apparently this is the genius filter. Do I sound like a genius?
You've got bees in your head, man. Get the bees
I got
out.
bees in my head. Oh no.
It means I'm in the cave. I gotta escape the bees, and I ran to the cave. I'm in the cave, guys. I'm in the cave.
Get into the cave.
It's where you develop all your high-level ideas.
This is where I get all the high-level ideas from the dripping water off of the stalactites and stalagmites. I still don't know which one are the ones that hang and which ones are the ones that grow from the accumulation of salt and water on the ground.
David C.
Tights, T top.
Sorry, what did you just say?
C for ceiling, Dave. G for ground.
Oh.
Racism is bad. I didn't think about it like that before.
Racism doesn't exist in this cave. It's just me. And I'm not racist.
I wonder if Ben Shapiro would bring me a cake.
I think we killed Scott.
I think Dave in the cave is my favorite recurring personality.
No, I'm perfectly fine.
Perfectly happy in here.
Is that? I didn't even know if this was a good Dave Rubin. I don't care. You know, that Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau, though, he's a bit of a nanny, isn't he? That Justin Trudeau, he's a bit of a ninny. He's a bit of a trans ninny, isn't he? Isn't he? Justin Trudeau, now we're just playing like a fucking Englishman. I don't know.
This just makes me want to talk about hockey, and I don't know if anybody else wants to do that.
We appreciate hockey here.
Toronto there,
but it's not germane to the conversation.
Watch some Letterkenny and then get better at talking like a Canadian.
What about Toronto?
It's just fucking sweet.
What?
Jumbo Joe got to sign to Toronto for a year there, eh?
How does this sound? Apparently this is helium.
Yeah.
Wet ass P-word.
Wet ass P-word.
Wet ass P-word.
Yeah, it's a chipmunk. The Ben Chipmunk Shapiro.
Wet ass P-word.
Wet ass.
So, Will, in your experience with normies, who or what do people usually blame for misfortune, or who do they think is responsible for like material progress that they've made?
Everybody's self-made. Everybody in the world is self-made and did it by themselves and pulled up their own bootstraps.
Yeah, I found that kind of weird when I've experienced that, because it's like, no, what about all the government policies in the 70s that you benefited from? Oh, we didn't know.
And not even
those.
that, like it's
a good classic liberal. They're self-made.
There's been, I feel like I'm picking on kind of like the more conservative types that I talk to and stuff like that, but I'm not. There's a funny meme rolling around of people like just blindlessly defending billionaires and stuff like that, and there's a ton of that.
Oh yeah.
Wait, like in real life? For real?
The people who will defend like Elon Musk as being a self-made man is astounding.
Yeah. Oh, like they had no idea his parents owned a diamond mine or an emerald mine in South Africa. Yeah.
Yeah,
in South
slaves
Africa,
that ran on slave labor.
Yeah.
He inherited an apartheid legacy. There's no whiter thing than that. I can't fucking think of a whiter thing. If he inherited that mine and like a mayonnaise manufacturing company, then that would be perhaps more white.
Actual slaves.
Fucking Elon Hellman over here.
Inheriting actual slaves seems like the only thing more white than like inheriting an apartheid era diamond mine.
See, I pick on Bezos just because he is such a clear-cut example of, I guess, everything wrong. Like, motherfucker pays no taxes, his company pays no taxes and everything like that, but everybody just jumps to his defense. Well, he's a job creator. And there's plenty of people that work for him who I think have just been kind of brave. Be like, well, at least I have a job, especially right now and stuff like that. But he's not, I mean, the dude's not a good dude.
Oh, he is one of the most fucked up people on the planet. Like,
motherfucker pays no taxes.
No taxes.
We could do episode on episode on episode about the way that motherfucker pinches
that
pennies.
Iguana eating motherfucker.
Like, he doesn't even pinch pennies for himself. He pinches pennies just to make the working class weaker. Same thing with Whole Foods.
It's just about like accumulating more wealth. It's not even about it. Honestly, at some point with Bezos, it stops being about like fucking over workers, and it's just about like, I want to fund my project to space or whatever the fuck I want to do.
There is also the aspect of literally just making life harder for employees.
Absolutely.
That is part of the calculation.
Absolutely. As someone who had to deal with like sorting packages on Prime Day in a UPS warehouse,
Jesus Christ.
Like, we got fucking crushed by packages. It was like 10 times worse than normal, and it was like, oh, well, it's Amazon Prime Week, so you just gotta suffer through it.
I have a Prime subscription. I am dismayed. But but I boycotted Prime Weekend.
Fucking right. I've heard like some interviews with like anonymous interviews with like Amazon employees that like another big problem is that a lot of like Americans just generally order shit that like no one really practically needs, you know, like hundreds, like just like knickknacks and like bullshit, like all this plastic crap that like no one really uses or like necessarily, yeah, like shit like no one needs to survive, you know, and that's the overwhelming majority of orders that they take.
Consumerism, though.
Yeah, like that's what our economy is now, to the degree that it still is
wasteful spending is the American way.
To the degree that our economy is still based around like physical items, it's just garbage. Like either that or it's stuff that's like mildly less garbage but just expensive because it has snob appeal. Even diamonds are not there. The price is inflated dramatically because like the supply chain is bottlenecked.
Yeah, there's enough diamonds in the world to give everybody about a cup of them, what I've read. But you're not going to fucking be able to afford them because of that.
Nope, because beer has the nice little stranglehold on that one.
Mm-hmm.
In this country, when we have too much oil, we burn it so that there's less. And in like Venezuela, when there's too much oil, they give it to Cuba.
I feel like Marx went over exactly this.
Do you want to find some diamonds, guys? Like, there might be something here. Oh, look. I'll check back. See if there's any diamonds.
Did the bees follow you in there, Dave?
Yes.
I don't hear any bees. Oh, shit.
Yes, they followed me.
Oh, no, I think I'm allergic. I don't know.
Oh, no, guys, I might be allergic to bees, so I better, like stand under one of these droopy things. What do they call it? Stalactites? I don't know which one again.
Tights are from the top. Tights top. Mites bottom. Tights like tights from the top coming down.
G for ground. C for stealing.
Oh, it's kind of cold in here.
Still gaslighting. Did you know that the definition of gaslighting is when someone just comes up with something so incendiary that you gaslight the entire conversation? I'm not kidding. That's literally what Dave Rubin said in the clip. That is the definition of gaslighting, which is very wrong. I should find that clip. I should.
He defined gaslighting as coming up with something that makes you gaslight.
Yeah, something so incendiary that it makes the whole conversation ridiculous. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro?
No.
Is he talking about the last time he had gastrointestinal distress? Is that what is he confusing that with gaslighting?
I ate too much Taco Bell and now I'm gaslighting.
Took a month off to go camping.
That's what it is. Yep.
Hey guys, IBS is a serious issue, okay?
Hold on. Did you see the interview with Tucker Carlson where he asked Tucker Carlson to verify that there were 3 billion people working for the government?
Wait. That there were 3 billion people working for the United States government?
No, there are only 300 million.
3 billion with a B people working for the United States government. Yes?
Despite the fact there are only 300 million with an M in this country.
He goes 3 billion? That sounds like a little high. You sure it's 3 billion?
Is that Shapiro who said that?
No, that was Dave Rubin talking to Tucker Carlson.
Oh, so 2 fucking idiots. Okay.
No, Tucker Carlson is not an idiot. He's just a fascist.
Tends to be an idiot.
I have never felt better that I don't know who Dave Rubin is. Like, if I've heard of
him.
You
don't know who Dave Rubin is?
No, I've heard of him, but I'm like blissfully ignorant of
That's
everything
amazing.
I mean, that's about where I'm at, honestly. This
wow,
like,
you sweet summer children. Wow.
I know about Dave Rubin.
Did you guys notice I put in a combined, Gary Johnson, Dave Rubin mashup as the Easter egg for the Patreon exclusive? Oh, no, you wouldn't, would you? Because you're not a patron.
I noticed, but I didn't know that was what it was.
I feel attacked.
So maybe you should join our Patreon. You know.
No pressure, but yeah.
Totally. All of the pressure.
Even and Yash.
Do it, or you're going to go straight to jail.
You go to jail.
What Scott said.
Johnny wants to show that it's nice.
What's that supposed to be? Does it just add an overdrive?
Yeah, what the fuck is that? I hate it.
Yeah.
Apparently this is called Police Chase, and it's just got a nice funky beat in the back. I like it.
Oh, thanks. I hate it.
Hate it.
Yeah.
Joe, you okay?
It just clips it like really.
All right,
fucking
I'll apologize. I'll stop.
I'm more or less okay.
Okay, great.
You humans are having too much fun this episode.
Sure, there's
what was that?
Is too much.
It's the alien fun police.
The alien is back. It's fun police. Alien.
Fuck you, alien.
Fuck you. Oh shit, we're creating a narrative for the alien. Thank you I appreciate Will hanging on for all this nonsense.
Yeah, Scott, you said that you were you were eventually going to commit to a bit. Like, I think you've done it, man. You went hard into that Ruben.
Dave in a cave is a
Dave in a cave is a character now. Yeah.
You did it,
guys. Thank you so much for including me in this wonderful podcast. Thank you. And you should definitely sign up to their Patreon. It's at Epic Incredulity. Help me get out of this cave. Send me some money, and maybe I'll educate myself eventually on what the fuck the Jiffy things from the ceiling are.
If we get 10 patrons, we can get Dave out of the cave. Maybe
we can rescue Dave from the cave.
Make the cave of high level ideas, high level important ideas. Excuse me.
Maybe get him out of the cave, but the only way to find out is for 10 of you to sign up as patrons.
Yeah, we're gonna pull a Nixon on this. Throw some empty promises at you.
I mean, as of right now, his brain is still in recovery mode, but with your help.
My brain is still in recovery mode.
It's like like one of those ads for like starving children in Africa, but it's just fucking
we get 20 patrons, we can get the bees out of the cave so that they don't sting Dave anymore.
Oh shit! And then on the video,
it's like financial support.
It's like Dave Rubin huddled in the corner with bees.
Once again, asking for your financial support.
Oh, fuck.
Just put Dave Rubin's face on that meme and surround him with bees.
What nonsense have I wrought in the world of podcast?
Solid marketing strategy right now.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, God. It's a lot. I have to just make a note here that it's more fun to laugh as Ellie, I think, because the way that my vocal cords get used is different, and like I have more of my like screeching laugh, whereas when Chava's out, it's more like a silent laugh.
Well, it's more ladylike.
Yeah, I don't know. My screeching laugh as Ellie sounds exactly like my mom's screeching laugh. Whatever. We're both stuck in AFAB bodies. It's all weird.
You want to ask some more questions? I mean, just to say, it's kind of getting late for you. You gotta get up early.
I mean, it's true. I feel like I've done nothing but like just dump on folks, which is unfair because like I do really have like a lot of great conversations with people like that. And I was gonna say maybe like a month ago I kind of said to myself, I'm like, all right, listen, you've been pushy, you've been kind of a dick lately, which is true. Just fucking listen to people. And I guess that's a weird, stupid lesson if I want to leave it on like a fancy, happy high note or whatever like that. Like, just listen to what people say. You're right. Just ask the right questions. Like, whatever the question, like you guys just put up a bunch of questions in the chat and stuff like that. Yeah, ask what people worry about. You'd be surprised at what it is. I mean, a lot of people worry about like silly Second Amendment stuff like that, which is whatever, but people all want the same goddamn thing.
Don't say that to anybody I went to college with. They'll all beat you over the head with a shotgun.
Did that happen to you?
No, like they all own shotguns and they're like all like very big Second Amendment people.
So
That's
if you run into them,
thing they care about.
So if you run into them like in the middle of the street and you're like, oh, I don't know if I agree with the Second Amendment, they'll like run home and grab their shotgun and they come back and then hit you over the head.
Maybe
that would be interesting.
They won't
if that
shoot
happened.
you. They will beat you up with it because that's the best way to use a gun.
Yeah, because they're out of bullets. They never have any bullets.
I mean, maybe it says I'm kind of chill with guns anyway, or I'm like, I'm fine with it. Like, that's not a hill I'm going to die on metaphorically.
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
Did you say you own guns? Sorry?
I don't know, but I'm cool. But it's fine. If you want to have, like, it's fine to have guns. I don't care.
Don't you have your license?
No, I took the class, never went through with the license. But I don't own any because that would be illegal.
For the record, metaphorically beat me over the head with something, not literally.
Thank you, Joe. God damn the joke. It was funnier before.
As a literal.
It's fine. I mean, if you're talking about a metaphorical object such as an idea, and then you're saying you get beat over the head with some high level ideas, none of us are going to be like, shit, Joe, did that happen? Are you okay? Like, tell us about that.
Yeah, is your head okay, bro?
Yeah, like what happened? You're
vicious beating with a fucking cudgel of high-level ideas.
Traumatic, yeah.
So many high-level ideas.
Well,
so speaking of high-level ideas, Will, in your experience, what would you define as the difference between like a normie lib and a normie conservative?
They like to be mad at each other.
Yes.
Is that it?
I'm trying to think. I mean, like, it's such a generic. I'm not really sure the best distinction I've found. The conservatives are more willing to talk about their beliefs in some strange way.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
Yeah, where the liberals are like, they just kind of assume we're here where we're at, and like, oh, it's Massachusetts, so don't you kind of have the same feeling? And it's not difficult to kind of bring up more leftist ideals and stuff like that, but it kind of gets. I almost feel like it gets watered down in the discussion a little bit easier.
Right. I've actually found that in my conversations with like normie libs, like that's where the real facts and logic kind of people like to hang out. They think that liberalism is just truth, you know?
Yeah.
Like everything, like the Trump administration is the scary administration because it's like the war on facts. And it's like propaganda has been part of the fucking liberal platform since its inception.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's a really good point. Like you said, like they almost hang more of their hat on the rack that the Democrats are going to do whatever is correct, or they're trying their hardest, or they've done their best, and not that they're actually in cahoots with the more right wing for the gain of capital and stuff like that. Where every conservative you talk to, you say, hey, businesses are trying to dick us. And they're like, absolutely. Hey, the government doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, and we should probably try to think of something new. Absolutely. And it just, they're more satisfied with the status quo. But if you're trying to shake things up, you're going to have more of a partner in a conservative who agrees.
Yeah, everything you're saying has reinforced my belief that we could probably radicalize the South.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because they have guns already.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to get some on our side.
What about the Christians, though? What do we do? I guess that's not true, actually. I know how to talk to Christians.
I was going to make a Douglas Wayne reference, but I'm glad I didn't.
Now I want to hear it.
Their primary ambition is the love of money, because like one of the big like tenets of like Christianity is like eschewing the love of money, or like eschewing greed and like corruption, and like how politicians are supposed to be like servants of the public, not out for their own personal gain. It's about like being like straight and narrow rather than just lining your own pockets.
But at the same time, isn't part of I feel like at least the evangelical tack has been like the divine right is the way that you can sort of reinstitute a monarchical ideology into Christianity.
Yeah, like the problem with a lot of Christians, and maybe even, I dare say, most Christians, is that I think there is this bent built into their dogma that kind of views, the capitalist structure type of thing as just a natural thing, and like God
was ordained.
Exactly. Yeah, God is kind of like a capitalist master in some aspects, and it's just like that's just how it is.
It kind of squares with the whole like rampaging psychopath that you've got going with like people like Bezos, because like let's be real, in the Old Testament God was a raging psychopath, and
so
that's what Christianity is based upon. Because all Christianity is based off of the Old Testament, and God was a rampaging, irrepressible psychopath.
Motherfucker asked a guy to cut a baby in half. I mean, jeez.
He was a psychopath toward everybody except for the Jews, who were his chosen people. Which is not even entirely true, because I'm pretty sure there's parts of the Bible where he was a psychopath toward them, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well,
so I guess we do have to kill and dethrone God, so.
Yeah.
Your move, God.
The right wing fairmongerers were right in this instance.
Yeah, like the spiritual people that I've met who are rife for radicalization or are already radicalized, that's just the problem. They're already radicalized, and there's no work to be done there.
That is like the antithesis to a sort of secular Marxism, is like radical Christianity.
Radical anything, really.
What about liberation theology, though?
Oh,
if anybody knows anything about the subject, that is.
I do not.
Like, well, you have some, like, isn't there a decent number of Christians in the chapter you got down there? Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't come up.
Like, it's honestly my experience with trying to talk to Christians about fucking anything, whether it's class-based or identitarian, like, it is really, really, really hard to shake the biblical narrative, even if it's not actually the biblical narrative. If it's what they heard, you know, their pastor talking about or whatever, like, that shit is fucking in deep.
Yeah. And some Christians are libs, like fucking UUs, Unitarian type people with, you know, go past any church that has a Black Lives Matter sign out on the front. Like, some of those people are probably, like, leaning radical, but in my experience, they're mostly liberals.
But, like, Unitarianism is kind of a liberal, like, theological tradition in which, like, there is, like, no limits to what is acceptable. Like, there are no, like, things that, like, you should feel uncomfortable by, like...
Unitarian Universalism, yeah, exactly.
There's a very strong, like, black Christian Marxist sect that's still pretty much alive. Like, I don't know, I'm not going to name drop him, but just announced, like, yesterday that he was running for office in Boston, and he works directly with, you know, Christian institutions, but he's also very radical, like, in a good way, not in a, you know, evangelical QAnon way.
Yeah, well, wasn't there something QAnon related that you were going to bring up?
Who's that, me?
Yeah, or am I mistaken?
No, I don't remember, mate. I mean,
okay,
I've been listening to a bunch lately, but no, not particularly.
Alright, I was curious, because I thought you mentioned something about QAnon earlier.
Oh, shit. No, I guess, I mean, do
you have QAnon people? Do you cut the hair of the QAnon people?
I do, and I don't know how to, weasel my way, I guess, around that conversation, because I'm like, you know what, there probably is an international cabal of pedophiles.
Troll-looking fucking...
Oh, God. It's called the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I mean, no, exactly. Like, there's probably something to that. Like, Epstein probably didn't kill himself and, like, all that type of stuff. But I just don't...
Oh, yeah, baby.
You have literature.
I don't know, man. When you get on, like, the JFK Jr. still alive and he's just Biden's time, like, that's where I lose.
Biden, his time.
Biden, his time.
Hey.
Oh,
yeah.
Why are they all here? Where are we?
What you think about the photos? Those Hunter Biden photos. He's a fucking cool guy.
He seems chill, man. I'd party with him.
Yeah, he was a crackhead, right?
Crack pipe in the mouth while he's asleep. That was a wonderful photo. I was blown away by that one.
He's just like, you know, that's who I fucks with.
The most human of the Biden family.
I was definitely being like, wow, Joe Biden was nice to his son, I guess. But I'm really glad that neither of my parents ever ran for office, and thereby giving the press, you know, incentive to collect photos of me in my most vulnerable moments.
Who would you rather party with? Biden's kid or Trump's kids?
Biden, yo.
Biden's kids, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kid.
Because like a lot of them died already. That would be pretty cool to be like at a party and there's just like
to my understanding, he does not have a daughter, so there's only one
strung up on wires and whatever, and then you got his son smoking crack underneath. That'd be a fucking damn, dude. That's like a Halloween party for the ages.
Shit,
we love it.
Like,
don't we love it, people? We love it.
And Hunter Biden, having lost a brother, probably has actually
contributed to his
work on himself and like growth and stuff. And I just think that, you know, like Eric and Don Jr. are probably trying to like give somebody an upper decker and like light some shit on fire. And I like lighting shit on fire, but not, you know.
Yeah, that makes a fine party. So you're actually selling the Trumps a little bit.
Bye. Go home to mommy.
I feel like at some point they would try to rope you into a scam to like fucking steal money from Dana-Farber or something.
That's
the problem with the Trump case. It's all a pyramid scheme.
20 minutes talking about absolute gibberish.
That Dana-Farber.
Barron is fluent.
Ripping off the American people.
So I would talk to Barron and ask him to tell me how to say things in Slovene.
They've been ripped off the Americans.
All right, who would you rather party with, Eric or Don Jr.? I feel like I'm totally going off the rails, but let's fucking take this.
Let's just go there.
Neither.
Don Jr. in a heartbeat.
Well, in a heartbeat, excuse you?
Wait a second.
Wow.
Compared to like Eric.
Eric and Don.
Eric and Don Jr.
Eric and Don Jr. Like, Eric's as dumb as a dormouse.
I don't know, man. I feel like Eric reminds me a lot of, like, he's like Beavis and Butthead in one person.
Yeah.
Awesome analysis.
Kind of looks dead in the eyes after time.
Whom, Eric or Trump Jr.?
Eric, I mean, but then again, Trump Jr. definitely does. Like that speech he gave.
Trump Jr. looks eternally sad.
Yeah.
Like every picture of Trump Jr.
That speech he gave at the convention, like the entire time, like the look in his face was like existential dread.
Yeah, because he was clearly coming off of a coke binge, dude. Like that's how you look.
Yeah.
In the tunnel with that one, he's like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah, I'm going Eric. Trump Jr. is absolutely going to corner you and sell you on some shenanigans, and I feel like Eric would actually be up to those fun shenanigans you guys are talking about because he just had no parental supervision. He's the one who's going to go light shit on fire with you. He's the one who's going to pull pranks. And he's like the instant scapegoat.
He's going to be drawing dicks on Hunter Biden's pasty face.
Yeah.
Exactly. Jesus, a party with the two of them together?
I don't know. I wouldn't like, if I was partying with the Trumps, I would not subject anyone I knew to that. I'd be I'm going to do this so you don't have to.
I would certainly not bring any fucking women to the party.
No. God, no. I would not let Hava go to that. I would be myself, and I would be dressed as butch as I possibly fucking could in like those new military shirts that I got. And my ugly ass aviator glasses that I just got.
Bring it back.
It's so awesome to walk through the world in an AFAB body dressed hella butch and not have men look at you. It's so great. I have to tell you that. Anyway.
Well, I mean, you could move to Austin because that's pretty much what it's like.
That's true, and I did used to live there, and I did not get any unwelcome attention back in the day in Austin, so that was nice. Jesse, before I forget, can we put into this episode the audio of Trump talking about Weird Al?
Okay, send it to me.
The guy?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, like that thing that
he takes a piano and he squeezes it. It's wonderful, and nobody knows how it works. And we don't understand how. And science doesn't know how it works, but he just, it's Weird Al. He's an American original. Weird Al figured it out, and we love him, folks. We love him.
You actually have a pretty good Trump, Scott. Like,
really?
Yes, you do.
Yeah,
actually.
That was good.
It was very good.
Thank you, I suppose. One thing I will say is I'm wildly gesticulating as I'm doing it, so that might be the key.
Yeah.
That sounds like the key. It's what sells it.
It's a whole body performance, so.
There are some impressions that you can't sell them without like the shimmy.
Yes.
I'm gonna shimmy the frick out down, yo. Nope. Okay.
Good morning. Sunday morning.
Sorry.
Hey, I used to be like a fucking, I don't know, what's it called? Nu metal. I used to listen to nu metal. Now I listen to death metal.
Oh, fucking yes. Dude, I was 14 and I thought that How You Remind Me by Nickelback was like the shit.
This is how
you remind me of what I really am. It's a throaty performance.
Was waiting on the
we have everybody sing. Are we good? Do we want to transition to end in this bad boy of a beast of an episode?
Yeah, let's take it out. Let's get ourselves out.
There's a lot of yelling at once, William. I'm sorry. Are you okay with us transitioning out of this, out of the conversation?
Who are you asking? Me?
You.
Yeah, I am, dude. I've just been winging this. Like, I feel like I should have better preparation for this. I'm fine with it.
No, dude, you did so good. You get like a gold star and a fucking.
You guys are so supportive. What is
sweet plus, triple plus, quadruple?
I've had a lot of folks come through this podcast, friend, and you've done well.
Have you really? I jammed.
No,
not really.
And then the truth comes out.
Chimps were everywhere, and they had full freedom, the way people do. Love that noise. Fucking serious problem.
Was that one drop?
Yes, that's one of my favorite Joe Rogan clips.
I've got some drops that go on for like 45 seconds. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Those I've kind of either try to use very sparingly or I've gotten rid of completely. Like the one with Jonathan Frakes asking all the questions. I got rid of that. It's just
you have a pet. You display this as a trophy.
No, do you have a pet? Is perfect. Yeah,
you have a pet.
Dude, so I had a kid once ask me if I had a pet. And at the time, I only had a fish. This is not like podcast related, and because he was all excited. What's that?
Doesn't have to be.
No, I know, but he was all excited that because he had a fish too, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then he asked me, he's like, oh, what's your fish's name? And I had never named the fish. I had the fish for like 3 years, never fucking named the thing.
I had a fish named Fishy Fish.
Dude, so I named the fish. I was like, oh, I guess his name is Fish. And I was like, oh.
He's the only fish in this one.
But I asked him, like, well, what's your fish's name? Weird. And he just goes, oh, my fish's name's Steve.
Steve. Did he say it like that?
It was. I drew it out a touch longer, but it was like, oh, his name's Steve. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Got 3 E's in the middle.
Well, listen, he fucking named his fish. I didn't even fucking name my fish. This kid still had a one-up, no matter how ridiculous of a name of our fish it was.
Smart kid.
I knew this kid from Tennessee, and he surprisingly gave me the best fucking like emo haircut I've ever gotten. Like the scene kid bangs with the he thinned my hair and everything. I swear to God, and he left the wings on. Like fucking, he's like a rancher kid. His name was Walker, and he said cheese, like cheese. He's from Tennessee, dude.
Walker. Tennessee.
No. He was from Kentucky.
Walker, Kentucky barber.
You just described one of the most interesting people I think I've ever heard of.
Oh, dude, he was awesome. Anyway.
Well, do you have any more shenanigans, or can I recommend a movie?
I don't know, man. I don't think I have anything else. This is fun. I'd do this again. I got nothing good to contribute, I don't think. I feel like I had more things to talk about, but I don't even remember what they were.
Dude, the instant self-doubt. I love it. It's great. We love to see it.
Story of my life.
An egg trait that I'll never grow out of.
We love it, folks. We love it.
Where can people find us, Scott?
What, dude? I need to talk about a movie, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Motherfucker. We want to have some subtext, a little behind the worm. Does that make sense? I've been fighting a migraine for most of this, so I'm feeling okay. I'm fine. So I'm going to recommend a movie that both Will and I appreciate and we both agree on.
Comrade Scott tells you what to watch.
I'm going to talk about it's the fucking Lighthouse. It's a very good movie.
That was a good movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's about two dudes in a lighthouse and what happens when they can't like jerk off. They get very weird. That's basically what the movie is about.
They absolutely jerked off on that island.
Well, I mean, I guess when you can't
Pattinson fall in love with the squid.
Yeah.
Spoilers, sorry.
The mermaid. There's a mermaid.
Yeah.
You see mermaid genitalia in this movie. It's fantastic. So if there isn't, I'm trying to keep it horror related this month because it's October and it's a horror movie. I love it. It's great. Willem Dafoe is in it and Robert Pattinson. Actually, that's it. There's nobody else in it.
It's literally the entire cast. There might have been like one other dude for like a second, but
yeah, it's Robert Eggers' follow-up to The Witch, which is also a good movie, or The Vivitch. For one of those people.
I finally saw Pet Sematary, and like it wasn't really the one that was just
that one sucks.
Yeah, like it was billed as being very scary. It wasn't scary. It was like good, but it wasn't scary, you know what I mean? Like I can see where it would have made people very uncomfortable, I guess. It was like
sometimes that is better.
The opener, like with the exposed brain was, like
yeah, I will say like Pet Sematary, it's like I have mixed feelings on Pet Sematary, the book. Like it has some of the best King writing, but also, and Will, you can chime in on this shit. Because at one point I wanted
Pet Sematary.
No, but at one point I want to do an episode that compares the portrayal of America by Stephen King and the portrayal of America by David Lynch, because I think they're very similar.
I like the book, but I'm one of those douchebags that always thinks the book is better. Like The Shining, the book, fucking phenomenal. The movie, still very good, but not as good.
Those are such.
But with the modern Pet Sematary, it's one of the few it actually got into like the stuff with that aspect of the character. With like it got deeper into it than like other adaptations did, and I appreciated it. I don't love Pet Sematary's book.
It's because you're a fucking noob.
It's because I've read. It's
because you're a fucking dork, Scott.
Sure, whatever. It's fine.
Damn, dude, you just fucking doormat mode. I'm sorry. I'll compliment you to.
It's like I don't care. It's fine.
No. You know what?
And I thought it was Minor King at the time.
I'm gonna offset. I'm gonna offset it with a compliment, Scott.
I will get in. You want a little mini review of Pet Sematary?
Scott.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
I love you, bro. I love you, man.
No, it's cool. I'm fine. It's cool.
I appreciate your feedback as a friend, and you give me hope when I'm feeling like really down sometimes. So
there we go. That's all I can hope to do and hope to bring to this world. No, but like to review Pet Sematary, like it is a great analysis of like the grief that people feel after death, but then like the narrative is very like hacky, and that's my issue with it. So
yeah, like not honestly, one of the things that I liked about Hereditary that I wish more horror movies would do was like
we talk about Hereditary a lot on the show, and I like
the realistic like emotional responses from whoever played the mother in that
Toni
film.
Collette.
Right. Yeah. Like most horror movies, the emotional responses to like unbelievable shit are just absurd. Like they just don't match what's actually happening in the film. But yeah, so I think Pet Sematary kind of suffered from like a lack of, whatever that is.
Well, Will.
Yeah.
Before we let ourselves out, where can we find you on the internet? Would you like to share?
I don't want to be found.
So Will doesn't want to be found. All right. You can find me. Maybe we should do an entire We Don't Want to Be Found this week. I don't want to be found either. Actually, I'm kidding. You can find me at what is my name? At Death Mullet. Both. It's my Discord name too. I'm a fucking moron. You can find me at Death Mullet. Again, I'm fighting a migraine. My brain is not functioning properly tonight. You can find me at Death Mullet on both tweets and both Insta. Have fun. Will doesn't want to be found. Ellie is on this podcast, correct?
Yes. You can, it doesn't matter because I don't want to be found either. I don't want to be found. Chava doesn't want to be found, and you're not going to find us, so don't even try.
Joe, what's your status? You want to be found? You want to be, no?
I'm indifferent. Find me, don't find me, do whatever the fuck.
That's Joe.
And
also, give us all your money.
Give us all your fucking money. And Rush Limbaugh die. Ooh.
I don't know what you said.
Don't cut that out. Don't cut that out. We love it, folks. He's Rush Limbaugh. We're Rush Limbaugh. Parody in the game.
I'm trying to do my thing.
I don't need
you guys always leave me behind on this.
Canada is such a joke of a country.
All right, fine.
Go, buddy.
No, it's okay.
We love you. I apologize for our nonsense.
You can find me. I'm Jesse, and you can find me on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/contingentsboston. And please remember to hit up comrade-rosie.org, hit that Getting Involved tab, and choose one or more mutual aid groups to give a little bit of money or time to, because people really need your fucking help right now. And that's it.
Yep. Like Jesse said, go get involved on comrade-rosie.org. It's a very good website. Give us some recommendations of where you can seek mental health assistance in your area, especially if it's close to Boston. And we're also on this show, The Epoch of Incredulity, folks. It's on Twitter. It's on Instagram. Both of those are at Epic Incredulity, but more importantly, we are on Patreon, and we're looking for your money. We're looking for your green. We're looking for your cash.
Give us $1.
Give us...
Show us your tits.
$1 to $3... Give us $1 to $3 if you like. Show us your tits if you want to. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, you go to Patreon. And you go to at Epic Incredulity, because that's where we're on everything. We're at Epic Incredulity. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We premiered the episode last week. This fucking morning. That's what I like to do. Same thing as what I'm going to do with this episode next week. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, folks. I realize the election is in 2 weeks. We're going to be recording during the election. It's going to be fun. We're going to be reporting the preliminary results, even though we're not going to have results for like a week, but it's going to be fun. So I look forward to it.
The night of like the Massachusetts primary in the beginning of September, I'm going to be fucking insufferable.
Oh yeah, Joe's not going to be paying attention to anything, man.
Neither will I. No, I think we should deliberately keep that as just like a blank slate, and if anybody wants to come on and just say stupid shit, like it's fun.
Oh yeah. You're always welcome.
Yeah, Will, if you want to be weird on election night, because did you already vote, by the way?
I did. I dropped my ballot off this morning.
Fuck is we? Who's we?
I'm trying to fucking tell you. We had we have a South Shore monthly social Zoom meeting on that Tuesday, which anyone is invited to. Maybe wants to check out what's going on. South Shore.
I get it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a non-organizing thing, but everyone's welcome. Just send an email, whatever.
Are we going to be getting a little bit too behind the sausage? But
oh yeah.
Sausages. Go watch The Kid is in the Hall at Brain Candy, by the way. It's a good movie. It's funny.
Still a great movie.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to bring up, we had a death pool at work a couple months, maybe a year ago, and
go on.
And I might bring it back because who's almost dead? Who are you just talking about? Rush Limbaugh. He would be a choice of mine.
Whoa, stop. Pause for a second. Who the fuck was on this death poll?
Who were the candidates, or who were the?
What the hell were you doing?
It was like whoever you want, right?
You're just weirdos at work.
So we did it. We did $25 on the line, and you pick 3 people, and the first 2 were like legit picks who you thought it might be, and then the third one we made it like had to be a flyer, had to be like someone's like not an old dude, not a cancer dude,
like Britney Spears or whatever.
Exactly. So I chose. It was right after. Oh, I feel so bad admitting this now. Alex Trebek, because it was right after his diagnosis.
Oh no.
That's horrible. I don't blame you, dude. It's fine.
Shitty at bets. I'm notoriously bad at bets, so it was also
really
kind of like, all right, I'm probably saving him. And then my next spot was, oh my god, I'm blank. Henry Kissinger.
Ooh. Well, that's never gonna happen.
I know. I was, dude. I thought and my flyer was already lying, and it's fine. It didn't happen.
Honestly, I'm surprised that either of the Koch brothers died at all. Like,
Kissinger, he's like built to outlive the cockroaches. So
yeah, I just it was wishful thinking.
It's annoying. It's annoying that
zombie?
he hasn't died yet.
Yeah.
Yes, he is a zombie. It's annoying.
Yeah, I tell you, I was rooting for him. I was really hoping I'd win with that. But I lost because, was there a Sheen that just died? Martin Sheen? No.
Jeff Bridges just got diagnosed with cancer, which I was going to mention. Just upsetting us.
Who is it?
No.
That guy was like 90-something or 100-something who just died last year and was an old movie star.
Oh, Kirk Douglas?
Yeah. That's how I lost.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What do I need to do, Jesse? What?
Kirk Douglas.
You still got to tell people
trying
to
get back to that.
Enjoy their Epoch.
But it's true.
I really told anybody to go like and subscribe our podcast.
Go like and subscribe. Oh, wow. Go like and subscribe to our podcast on your various podcast listening devices and services. And you know what I was thinking about before we recorded tonight? Leave some fucking, I can't remember what it's called. Reviews on iTunes. Leave some fucking reviews on iTunes, buddies. Come on. If you're listening to us on iTunes, if you leave some reviews, then
please.
Yeah, wherever the fuck you listen to them,
Apple
podcasts
really is what it is.
Google
yeah.
Podcasts. I started using. It's actually not a bad service. The way they help you create a queue of the podcasts that you want to listen to in a certain order and create sort of like a narrative of like the topics that they're talking about. So, anyways, that is your Epoch for the week. We're some silly motherfuckers.
I
have a very small brain. I must be reminded. Ben Shapiro was the one that said he would die to attend my gay wedding, right? He wouldn't make the pie, right? Cake.
Folks, we love Weird Al. We love Weird Al Yankovic. Weird Al, an American original. He's got more money than sin. More money. He's probably, I don't know, maybe he's got more money than me. I don't know if he's got more money than me, but he's got a lot of it. He's got a lot of spunk and he's got a lot of talent. I've never seen anybody who gets famous playing accordion. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. Who's doing accordion? And we don't even know how it works. Science doesn't even know how it works. He gets the piano and he squeezes it and it sounds really crazy. And Weird Al figured it out. God bless him. We think it's great that Weird Al figured out that accordion. I don't even know how they do. We don't even know how we do it. Does it need batteries? We'll never know. We'll never know. And science doesn't know.